Price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Black first, my brothers and my sisters. Welcome to the Afro Elite YouTube channel. I'm your host, Afro Elite. We're going to be breaking down a video that was done by some brothers who have a podcast named the Daily Wrap-Up Crew. I've done a reaction to a couple of their videos before. I want to say, first off, before we get started, this is for the sole purpose of empowerment and education, to let people know some things. This is not for me to bully anybody. I don't want to be labeled as a bully or I'm attacking a marginalized group or anything like that. This is for education because these are certain things that need to be cleared up. These are things that stereotypes that are very negative to the community, to the psyche of the community, and to how people treat us as foundational Black Americans. So we're going to be doing a lot of clearing things up, but this is not to attack any group of people, but there is, and we're going to have to be honest, because the only way to fix this problem is to be honest about the problem. There is a stigma. There is a narrative that circulates within the African, and very particularly the African community, people who are directly from the continent of Africa. There are people who have certain narratives that doesn't really get cleared up that much. And I saw this podcast and I thought that this was going to be a good opportunity to clear this up, because now you have a lot of people who are trying to, like certain Indians, trying to tether on to us and try to act as if they are one of us. And there needs to be education when it comes to us delineating and being able to distinguish ourselves from different groups of people. Now, we're Black first, of course. We love all Black people. This is, we want the best for every single Black person globally. But there is a difference, okay? The same way Chinese people and Japanese people are Asian, and when Asians are being disenfranchised, or when Asians are being discriminated against, when Asians, just Asians, period, Japanese, Chinese, Korean, all of them, when they're being aggrieved, they all come together and say, hey, you have to stop Asian hate. You have to stop Asian discrimination. You have to stop Asian this, Asian, anything that harms the Asian community. They look at that like that. But ethnically, they will get very, very offended if you call a Japanese person Chinese. If they say, no, I'm Japanese. No, you're not really Japanese. You think you're Japanese. You're not really Japanese. You're really Chinese. So where are your people from in China? They would be very offended by that. So this is the education that we need, okay? I need every single last one of you guys to be locked in, because we're going to be going through it. We're definitely going to be going through it. It happens in the Caribbean, but from what I see, it mainly comes from Africa in specific. And we're going to go through the video and explain why. Before we do that, of course, we're going to have to make sure that we protect the channel. So here we go. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, this is where they start the conversation off. They start the conversation really talking about Western music or Afro beats in America. So we're going to start it off here. And the reason why we're starting it off right here is because I want you guys to have full context of how the situation or how the conversation progressed to where it did. So let's start. All right.
Because I look at hip hop music and I see how it went from this to now. It's at this
it's watered down.
Only
you want us to keep true to ourselves.
Yeah, I don't want y'all to feel like motherfuckers talking about trapping and killing. And
we never go. Let me tell you, that's all. Like I don't think we will never go down.
Listen, I hope.
I hope not.
It's up to these labels. These labels dictate the music.
True. That is true.
And they start to control the radios. Now they control what is going on. And now something that goes from Sexy Red. Why didn't she start doing Afro beats? Like, you know what I'm saying, or something like that?
It's trendy. Everybody
You know
wants to hop on the Afrobeat train. It's trendy. Everybody wants to get a piece of Afrobeat. So I don't blame them at all.
You said one reason you realized is it was already westernized is because they started using the N-word.
And then like fancy cars and stuff. Like,
so prior to that happening, you wouldn't say that it happened often where, African music had used the N-word?
Oh no. Like all this is due because a lot of Americans start to listen to our music. So that's why we're catering to the Americans.
But would you say that we should be offended because people only because the same Burna Boy, he said African Americans don't have culture. So if you're using the N-word, which you wouldn't really use it, you don't particularly claim to be Black or African American, we're pushed aside. Okay. Then wouldn't you say using the N-word is a sign of disrespect?
I mean, that's a good question. It's just because like it's just what it boils down to, it's money. Y'all are buying his records.
That's like me accepting the fact of Eminem saying, "What's up, my nigga?" You get what I'm saying? He doesn't. I don't. Nobody does. I don't know.
Eminem don't say that.
No, I don't think this
he did. He did.
I don't think it's the same.
Now, before we get into that, I want to give you guys something about exactly what Burna Boy said, because this is one of the things. Even when people are trying to not be offensive, they are actually being very offensive and disrespectful because of some of the rhetoric that they spew. Burna Boy, and even if we want to say Burna Boy, I'm pulling up the clip right now. Even if we want to say Burna Boy did not at all mean to be disrespectful, he did not at all mean to be offensive. Burna Boy was very disrespectful and Burna Boy was very offensive. So this is exactly what he said.
I'm here with my name Zelle, African giant Burna Boy, and I want to ask you, why is it important that the diaspora come home?
You know why? Okay, let's use America. Because this, but let's just use America, right? Why do you think the Chinese American, has their respect? And they don't go through the things that African Americans go through. Like, even though they might go through their struggles, not take all over the world, but they don't go through what the African Americans, because the Chinese American has a base. He actually knows where he's from in China, right? And he has support from the Chinese government. You understand? Like the Italian American, Italy, they know where their grandparents came from in Italy before. They know the first.
Okay. Now, like I said, we're going to have to clear some things up. And there's some people who might get offended. Like I said, I'm not trying to bully anybody. I made that disclaimer early because I don't want people to be all like, oh, I can't believe you're going in so hard. We're going to have to be honest. We're going to have to be very honest with this because this is something that's been plaguing really particularly Black Americans for generations, and we're just gonna clear all this stuff up. We're gonna put this stuff to bed. Burna Boy said, which is essentially saying the same thing. We don't know where we're from. They're saying a lot of people read that as we don't have culture, which essentially you can say that's the same thing because if you don't know where you're from, where is your culture from? So Burna Boy has said this. Some people also said that Burna Boy, and I couldn't find the full video, also said that we don't have a culture. I can only find that part of the video. Now, if we're going to be honest, Burna Boy comes from Nigeria. Nigeria, we're going to pull this up because we got to get the history out the way. Nigeria, look at this, y'all. The whole name Nigeria really is started with the whole scramble for Africa, which started in 1885 to 1914. Now, if you guys understand, by that time, the Civil War had already ended and Black Americans had already got their independence, if you want to call it that. We've already been nationalized as American citizens by the time the scramble for Africa had came. Do you understand? So afterwards, this happened well after in the scramble for Africa, Nigeria got its name. The name Nigeria derives from the Niger River running through the country. The name was coined on the 8th of January in 1897 by British journalist Flora Shaw. The neighboring republic of Nigeria takes its name from the same river. So this is the history of that. We're going to have to be honest about that. This is the history of that. So if we're going to be honest, and actually be in full context and tell the history of it, we were American, as foundational Black Americans, we were nationalized as American citizens, even if we were mistreated by the system. Okay, and that's a different argument. Even if we were mistreated by the system, we were American before Nigerians were Nigerian, but there was no Nigerian before there was America. We were called American. And let's be honest, even during the time of chattel slavery, there were still free Black Americans. There were still free FBAs who got their freedom even during the time of chattel slavery. A lot of people don't understand that every single Black person in America wasn't a slave right up until 1865, and then all of them went. There were some, which is what you would call freedmen. There were freedmen that existed prior to the end of the Civil War. So there were Black people who were nationalized with their paperwork and everything as American citizens, citizens of America, before anybody was ever called a Nigerian. So for you to say you can't trace we can't trace our ancestry back, when we can actually, on paper and historically, we can trace our ancestry back farther than what you can trace your ancestry back to. Because even if you can trace your ancestry back to the actual beginning of Nigeria, when it was called Nigeria, we can trace it back to before your country ever really even existed. And this goes for a lot of countries in Africa. We have to understand the scramble of Africa essentially colonized everything. The scramble of Africa, and this is not me trying to beat up on nobody or anything like that. I don't want to be labeled as a bully. I can't believe you're doing this. This is the actual history of it. When we talk about ethnogenesis, when we talk about that in the context of what happened in America. But if we're going to be very honest, every single group of people really had an ethnogenesis at one point or another. That's just the way the world works. Every group of people had an ethnogenesis at one point. Let's actually get to the definition of ethnogenesis real fast. Okay. Okay. Hold on. Let me see. Let me get this off the screen. This is the definition of an ethnogenesis. It says a browser lost connection to auto share. So that means I'm going to have to restart. So y'all give me 2 seconds as I have to restart this. So the definition of ethnogenesis, the process in which a group of people becomes ethnically distinct, the formulation and development of an ethnic group. So take a very good look. That is the definition of it. Why we talk about the fact that we had an ethnogenesis when we left the continent of Africa, because we are distinct from that. We didn't bring, it's not like we expanded. There's two different, this is world history. Pay very, very close attention to what I'm about to say. It's very important. There's two different types of people who move to different groups, who move to different places. Number one, you have people who move and they take all of their culture, their tradition, and everything, and they expand on where they are. They go to foreign lands and then they conquer that land, or they take that land, seize that land, and it's just an expansion of where they're from. That's number one. That's happening in item A. In item B, you have other groups of people who move to another place and they develop something that is distinct from where they originated. That's two. There's only two types. It's only point A and point B. So if you do not, and this is history, if you do not expand on the culture you're originally from, then what that means is that you're developing something new, is a new ethnicity. Even if some bits and pieces of the culture and of the history derive from other places in that ethnicity, you can look at Asians as an example of that. It is still something new. People don't say, well, technically, thousands of years ago, Japanese people, they used to live in China. So technically speaking, Japanese are really Chinese. No, they're very distinct. There are similarities, of course, but they are distinct people. So when we come, or when we were here in America during the time of chattel slavery, there are people who are here that were classified as Negro. That's already been documented. And there were people who came through the transatlantic slave trade. Because of that, and because of the stripping of everything that was before, that created a new ethnicity. That created an ethnogenesis. Ethnogenesis, I'm going to pull the definition up one more time. Ethnogenesis is actually nothing new. And ethnogenesis is actually something that is very common in world history. Every group of people have had an ethnogenesis. Every group of people in Africa has had an ethnogenesis to one degree or another. Otherwise, it would just be one country in Africa. Africa has all these countries. That's because there are different people who have an ethnogenesis. The South Americans, they have a different ethnicity than the Nigerians, who have a different ethnicity from the Somalians, who have a different ethnicity from the Ethiopians, from the Egyptians, all of these people. If ethnogenesis did not exist, everybody would be the same. Every ethnicity would be the same. You can look at Asian society. There's an ethnogenesis between South Korea and North Korea. There's an ethnogenesis between Japan and China. These are ethnogenesis. Look at European society. There's an ethnogenesis between Italian and French and Polish and all of these things, because at a certain point in time, somebody who was not there had to go there and develop something new. This is an ethnogenesis. It's world history. It's well understood. You can look at the Caribbean, Jamaica, Haiti, Puerto Rico, Cuban, all of these different groups of people created an ethnogenesis. You can even look at the Mexican community, who has a lot of ties to Spain, not originally. A lot of this stuff, you have a mixture of some of their native history and then a lot of Spanish influence. When the Spanish came and they colonized and enslaved the people who would become what you call today Mexican, that was an ethnogenesis. So their origin began at that point. Ethno starts for ethnicity. Genesis means the beginning. That was the beginning of their ethnicity. Only when it comes to foundational Black Americans is that not respected at all. For whatever reason, that's not respected. We're going to get back to the clip. First, I got a StreamYard is doing something, but that's okay. We're going to reset it. Just hold on for 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Don't worry about that. So you said Cash App, mods, if you guys can, it's Afro, it's $ Afro Elite 10 at Cash App. $ Afro Elite 10. One of the mods, I know we got our mods in here. So let's continue playing it, because they really get into it, and a lot of stuff they say is something else. Honestly, is really something else. But I want you to have that in your mind as we go forward. Okay.
Because at the end of the day, we're all Black. Okay, we're all Black, so you can't say because Eminem is not using the N-word. No. What I'm saying is, like, I get what you're saying, but I feel like when they're using the N-word in their songs, they're not thinking about it. It's just like it's a phrase that's commonly used now. So
that'd be an excuse for a white person to say as well.
Yeah, but you can't compare. You can't compare.
I listen to Future, so I should be able to say
a white person is not Black. A Black person, African, we are both Black. At the end of the day,
regardless of where we come from. You can't compare a white person to.
I don't think Eli always says this all the time too. If you don't portray yourself as a Black American or whatever the case may be, you shouldn't use the N-word.
Okay.
If you're not one of us, then why?
I just told you it's about money. They're catering. They think it's business.
Then I would take that as disrespect. You get what I'm saying?
Well, then everybody disrespecting us at this point. We just
you're right.
Left and right.
I mean,
so just, let us know in the comments, man, what y'all think about that. I don't know. That's a good question. So, you know what I mean?
But it depends on if he genuinely feels like, if he's whatever. What did you say about the African Americans?
Well, he said we don't have any culture. When he
now, let me get to this for a second, because I know this is the debate that happens a lot. And before we get to that, let me shout out the Cash App, Jay the Informant. He says something I agree with. Sometimes bullying is necessary. I agree. That's a fact. I do agree with that. Sometimes bullying is necessary. As far as the Cash Apps, let me get to the Cash Apps just real fast. Shout out to come on, where is it? Darren. Shout out to Darren, and shout out to Devonta, and shout out to Wanda. I appreciate every single last one of you guys. Thank you so very much. Appreciate you guys. Now, let me take this all the way off. Let's get to the whole them using the N-word thing. There's a lot of people who have a lot of different opinions on if anybody should be using the N-word, whatever the case is. We're not even really going to get to that. What we're going to do is we're going to use the example that they're giving, right? For them to say we don't have a culture, and then they're in rap songs and they're adopting Black American culture, regardless of how you feel about the N-word, or using it with an A or ER, regardless of how you feel about that, that is Black American culture. It is our culture to use the N-word in rap songs. It is our culture. That culture originates from us. It was a term that was flipped, regardless of how, because some people like we shouldn't be using it, and you can have that opinion. But regardless of that, it is something that comes from our culture. It does not come from Africa. Africa adopted it from us. It does not come from the Caribbean. The Caribbean adopted it from us. So all of these people, we're all Black. You have to understand where it comes from. And the reason why they're saying that they have an issue with this is because I just played that clip. They'll say, well, we don't have a culture. You guys don't know where you're coming from, but yet you're adopting everything from our culture. But the only problem is y'all don't want to claim it's from us. And this is one of the reasons why we're having such an issue, because the things that we do as foundational Black Americans, people have this issue with giving credit where credit is due only when it comes to us. I said this before on a different live stream. When it comes to anime, people absolutely have no issue whatsoever giving credit to the Japanese manga artists or the Japanese animators. People have no problem giving them their credit. When it comes to certain other things and European culture or whatever the case is, like some of their music or art or clothing or fashion, there is no problem giving their credit to them. None whatsoever. When it comes to certain things in Africa, the dashikis and certain African dances or foods or something, no problem giving that to them. Carnival, no problem giving that to the Caribbean. Only when it comes to us do people be all like, oh, I don't really want to do it. I guess it's everybody's thing, really. I mean, do y'all got to take all the credit for it? Yes, we do have to take all the credit for it. We have to take all the credit. If credit is to be given, it needs to be given properly. The problem, if it doesn't get given properly, then it starts to erase the people who actually deserve that credit. So regardless of how anybody feels about it, and I keep saying that because I know some people have different opinions. I've heard that before. We've discussed it before. Regardless of how you feel about it, that is Black American culture. So it can be seen, like the brother is saying, it can be seen as disrespect for y'all to come in here and start adapting things in your music that you call Afro beats, but you're adapting hip hop elements in your Afro beats. Now, you don't want to give Afrobeat Black Americans any credit for Afro beats. Y'all want to make it seem like this is something from the diaspora purely. Y'all don't want to give us any credit for Afro beats, but you want to adopt elements, attractive elements from our hip hop culture in your Afro beats, while you're simultaneously telling us that we don't have a culture. That's why the brother is saying that that's disrespectful. And I know they have a certain amount of time, so they really can't break it down like that. So that's why I felt like it was important for us to do that. We got a lot of people. We already have 300 people in here, not even 30 minutes. I appreciate every single lot. Can we get some 100 emojis in the chat room? I don't know if you guys been doing them or not, but can we get some 100 emojis in the chat room? We need heavy, heavy, heavy participation in the chat room this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to FBA Queen for the $50 super chat. Says, I can't stay because I'm old and exhausted. That's fine. I will catch the replay. I want to support your wonderful work. B1 from I think that's Chicago. I think that might be just typo. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you watching back. I appreciate that. I understand it can be late. Some people got work in the morning and everything. perfectly fine. As long as you tune in and you're participating, liking, and all that is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. All right. So let's continue.
He looks like our culture. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, hold on. How does that look like? So I
mean,
I want to say something about this because I get that a lot.
Yeah.
Like because we have a lot, because I'm Nigerian American, right?
Yeah.
And our show is predominantly like a lot of Africans on our show. So we have a lot of these kind of conversations.
Yes.
So someone like myself, I would say certain things that may offend other people. I may say something to offend an African American person, right? And they would now look at me and say, "Well, you look like us. You're trying to look like us."
No, you are one of us. You're American as well, right? You said
I'm American, but because I guess I'm Nigerian as well, they're thinking I'm trying to look like you guys. I'm trying to talk like you, but I'm American. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, what does an American person look like, and what does an African person look? How is an American person supposed to dress as opposed to an African person? That's what I think.
I think it's pretty obvious when you look at Black American culture. Like we do dress, we have a different swag about us, our fashion senses, different. Even with you ladies, you guys are wearing wigs and weaves. Not saying y'all, I'm saying in general, African women do be wearing that. Yeah. I've never associated women in the motherland being I haven't seen that. I usually present with your natural hair more. I think that aesthetic is
great point.
A Black American aesthetic. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just me personally. Like I said, I have never, when I looked at the motherland of African women from the motherland, I've never looked at them having all of this makeup and, enhancements and surgeries and stuff like that. Like, so that to me is an aspect of looking the part of a Black American woman. Like, you know what I mean? So even how certain Black
but also, where did Black American women get?
Now, okay, before we get this, let's come on now. And this is why that we don't have any progress, or we have not been making progress the way we should be making, because I'm going to be honest, people come over here and then they start playing dumb. People come over here and then they start acting obtuse. They start acting like they don't know anything. Well, I mean, how do I look like a Black American? What is the difference between a Black American and an African? What is the difference? You don't know that we don't dress the same in America versus in what you said, Nigeria. You don't know what Black American style is versus what Nigerian style is. You don't know that. You don't know we wear different shoes. We wear different shirts, different pants, different hats. You don't understand that. And when people say this stuff, they're being very disingenuous. And this is why progression can't happen, because anytime we talk about the real issues, folks start playing dumb. Folks start acting like, well, I don't see a difference between this jacket and the dashiki. What is the difference? I see it. No, you don't. No, you don't. And you do understand the difference. You understand. And you understand that there is an aesthetic in America that Black Americans have formulated, that everybody else is emulating, that you guys are also emulating, because it's fashionable, it's popular, it's attractive, and you guys want to be a part of that. I can't blame you. Oh, no. Can't blame you for that. But when you do it, then you act like that you're not doing it. And this is the problem I was saying earlier. The problem I was saying, we're going to get back to it. The problem I was saying earlier is that they do it and then they act like they're not getting it from us. That is what we're saying about our culture. Now, if they were to go and wear like one of those traditional Japanese clothes or something like that, they would say, oh, well, this is from Japan, and I got this from Japan, or I got this from Hong Kong, I got this from India, I got this from Mexico, I got this from, everybody would say where they got that from. Only when it comes to our style and our culture, they'd be all like, well, I mean, where did this really come from? We can't give y'all the credit because we don't really know if you guys deserve the credit. Nobody else has an issue getting their credit but us. Only when it comes to us do people act like, is it? I can't really tell the difference personally. Only when it comes to us do people act like that. Let's continue, because then she says something very interesting as well too in the follow-up.
That look from, they got it from the Europeans. So that's why I feel like Black Americans and Africans are on the same wave.
Where do you think?
Because we're all wearing.
Where do you think the world get most of its fashion advice or sense from, or style from? A Black man walking up and down the block who made his designs or made his appeal. LL Cool J, knowledgeable for rolling his leg up.
Okay.
And this is where I see Burna Boy rolling one leg up.
But
to
hone in on the clip with Burna Boy specifically saying African Americans do not have culture. What did he mean by that? Because African Americans do have culture.
Well, if you ask a lot of Caribbean people or even African people, they question African Americans. There's no war. You get what I'm saying? We want to be respected just as much. Shit, if you let alone, we was shipped here without our permission. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
and I think that's where the confusion comes in because the culture is lost for African Americans. They don't know.
We shouldn't be attacked.
Started here 400 years ago. It came from Africa. So now you got Senegalese culture mixed in. You got Morocco culture mixed in with African American culture. Even just in Louisiana, gumbo, okra, all that came from West Africa. For them to pick up those traditions and cultures. So that's where they're saying you don't really know where the culture is because it's coming from thousands of languages and tribes and countries because we were shipped all over. We didn't ask to, you know what I'm saying? So that's where they're like, necessarily where they're honing in where it's like you don't have cultures because
but you shouldn't say that. We built a
now let me get to that real quick, and I wanted to pause and let that be known. Okay, let's say that's incorrect. We got over 400 people in here. Let's get the 100 emojis in here. We're starting to come back, y'all. They've been messing with it, but we're starting to come back. So thank you guys so very much. We got to flood it. Everybody in here, 400 people. We got to flood this thing, as many of you guys as you can. So let's get into what she was saying about mixtures. We got gumbo culture, some from West Africa. Let's be very honest, and we're going to be very clear about the history of this. There are aspects in foundational Black American culture that does arrive or has originated in Africa, just like there are some from Africa that exist in Mexico and exist in Asia. All right. So there are some that exist everywhere. All right. Also, we also have native aspects of culture that are here too. Then we also have brand new things that did not exist, things that are unprecedented, all of this stuff. And I don't know if gumbo is African. I don't know. I've never heard of gumbo necessarily being African. We have all these things. Let's get to, and we've said this before, and it's a good time to reiterate this. Let's get to the definition of what culture is in the very first place. Okay. Culture is a societal concept that encompasses the beliefs, conduct, arts, language, and traditions that is collectively permitted and or practiced by a group of people. This is the definition of culture. So when people say you don't understand where you come from because you got this over here, this over here, this over here, that does not refute the fact that this is culture. It can be a mix of things, but it is something new. If you mix certain things together, you will develop something new. So there are certain aspects that were taken from here, certain aspects that were taken from here, and then there are new aspects. And all of these things together make a very unique and distinct culture. So for her to say we don't know where we're coming from, that's completely incorrect. Let me get to some of the super chats. I appreciate you guys. We got Master G 1884 says immigrants are the reasons my farts stink season. Okay, well, appreciate the super chat. And then another one, pass the law so Gucci only sell to FBA. Okay, all right then, thank you. Appreciate the super chat. And then we got Brown Sugar Baby, proud of being FBA. Me too, of course, me too, absolutely. Thank you so very much. Now let's get back to it.
Culture.
You built
African Americans, you guys, you do definitely have your own culture. I can definitely say. I would never take that away from.
It's because it's lost.
No, it's lost. But I would never.
That's a mindset from thinking outside the box. We had to create as we go. Like everything. Our language, how we talk, how we walk, what we make is also unique to what we are.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I would never take that.
So I think it's just more so what has to be told to him that they do have culture, but it was made and created. And it became their own culture, hip hop. That's literally a culture from Black African Americans.
So my question now for you is: would you now say African?
Okay. And this is the thing. I'm gonna be honest. I think these women are really they're not trying to troll or anything. They're really being for real about this. This is the thing. Yeah, you got to tell them it was made and created, ma'am. Every culture is made and all culture is made and created. Human beings did not just exists, and there are different cultures in different lands. And if you step in one lane, you're a part of one culture. You step in another lane, you're a part of another culture. Every culture is made. That's like somebody saying it's a made-up language. Well, yes, I'm sure it is a made-up language, because language is all made up. Somebody made this language up from another language. Even if they get inspirations or certain words or in a dialect or anything like that from another language, all languages are made up. All culture is made up. So for people, oh, like your culture is made up. Everybody whose culture is not made up. You think you got a God-given culture, honestly? No, all culture is made up. So for people that are, well, you got to tell them that the culture is made up. What are you talking about? Okay.
In American culture derives from African culture?
I think we all take a little bit of something from each other. That's shit is things.
I think that is true. And matter of fact, Art, can you play that clip that I had real quick? Because this is going to correlate kind of to this whole conversation.
What do you say when people say where you from?
America.
No, where's your country?
My country is America. I was born in New York, raised in.
Where your parents from?
My parents are from New York.
Americans, they don't know where they're from, you know.
I think American black people are the most lost black people in the world.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you see black people over here, you know where they come from. We all know where we come from.
What are some negative stereotypes y'all heard about black men from your parents, from your friends?
You literally said it all.
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like my mom would tell me not to marry that.
Yeah.
She says it all the time.
My parents are both from Grenada. They came here in the 80s and 90s. So what he was saying about how they think that black people are lazy does resonate with me, because I've heard that a lot.
And I'm West African, Nigerian, because if you remember the movie Sugar Hill, and there's a scene where they're doing the thing with the drug dealer, and the guy said, we can't work with akata. That's a word that they were calling the American blacks, akata, the Nigerians. Akata is a word that they use for American blacks. And Wesley Snipes was like, yo, what is this akata shit you keep calling us? And the guy goes, we don't want to work with cotton pickers. Africans come to America, and there's a lot of my African-American friends say, man, a lot of Africans are really mean towards us. They're really nasty towards us because they feel they're better towards us.
You being a man from an African family, what would your family say about you bringing like an American woman?
My daughter's mom is American. Most African parents, if we're being honest, they would actually prefer you bring home a white person.
A lot. I can't categorically say every
that's
Nigerian.
very interesting. And a lot of people don't tell that truth. I think that was very interesting what he just said.
And got this talk. Well, a lot of Nigerians that travel abroad got this talk from their family, where they will sit you down and tell you, you're going there. Don't go and talk to those black Americans. You just gonna get pregnant. You get into drugs. You start become gang banging. They give you that talk. That just go to the white community, find a nice place. They just go and be decent. Stay with the white people. They give you that talk. So when you enter America, you already have a perception of African Americans. You judge them.
Well, we don't want them here.
They're your brothers and sisters.
They're not our brothers.
They are.
They were taken away. Unfortunately, we will develop by ourselves.
That video clip been a lot longer. I just wanted to
Now, let me address certain things in that video. A lot of that, and I don't want to paint every single person from the diaspora with one broad brush, but there is that sentiment. And let's be very honest, when we have these conversations, everybody's all like, well, no, not my family, I don't know about that. Let's be honest. This sentiment, if we have these clips on the internet and they're saying it all open and bold on the internet, that means behind closed doors, they've been saying that. That means that this is something that's been going on. Now we got social media. Now we got people who can record certain things and take clips of certain things. So it might seem shocking to a lot of people, but this is not a new phenomenon. This is not a new ideology that they have against us. This is not a new disdain that they have against us. And this is why we say you guys come over here and there is a certain level of disrespect and disdain. The narrative of we don't know where we're coming from, when, let's be honest, most of y'all countries in Africa did not exist, or the countries now did not exist when there were black people who were being taken from Africa. There was no Ghana. That's not what it was called at the time. I'm talking about 1619. Nigeria didn't exist in 1619. These countries didn't exist in 1619. So the countries that you claim that we left from, they don't even exist anymore. They don't exist. Your country is newer than our country. America has existed since 1776. The United States of America. it took y'all a little bit over 100 years after America was formed before y'all started getting y'all names and stuff. And that was, of course, due to the scramble of Africa. Because what they did, the Europeans, they took a map of Africa just like this. They took a map of Africa and they said, okay, well, the Dutch, you get this part. The French, you get this part. British people will get this part over here. And they started dividing and carving up Africa. And then they say, okay, well, we'll call this this right here. We'll call this right here. We'll call this right here. So Africa had, to a degree, a soft boot reset, if we're going to be honest. Now, there's still some history, there's still some traditional languages and religions and culture that still exists prior to that. But let's be honest, due to the scramble for Africa, I think it's scramble of Africa or for Africa, whatever it is, due to that, in 1885, Africa really did have a reset. So for them to say you don't know where you're from, honestly, that's a projection. We know where we're from more than they know where they're from. And this isn't to shame them. It really is more of a reflection of the whole system of white supremacy, the global system. But to be honest, if y'all want to, if we're going to go blow for blow, y'all don't speak the language that y'all spoke before the scramble of Africa. Y'all don't call yourselves by the nationality prior to the scramble of Africa. There are certain things y'all send up there, calling yourselves Nigerian, and that was named after a white woman. And it's different from us because at least we acknowledge that. You guys are making it seem like this is all traditional. There's hardly a lot that's traditional there anymore. And this is not to shame you guys, but this is to be very accurate, because when you guys want to come up with a reflection of we don't know where we're from, we know more of where we're from than what you guys know about what you're from. Just because you guys didn't leave the continent don't mean you really know where you're from, to be honest. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. When they say the things that we're lazy, and we're going to get into that. I just want to get those things. Another thing, the baby mama stereotype that they be having about us, the whole, well, they come over here being baby mamas and all that stuff. We're going to get into that a little bit, but that's very interesting, because when we show negative parts of Africa, when we show African scammers, which, let's be honest, nationalized or international scammers, Black Americans are one of the only people who are known not to be international scammers. If we're going to be honest, you got international scammers all in Asia, especially India. You got international scammers all in Africa. Black Americans are some of, and some Europeans, because I mean, of course, but Black Americans are really the only group of people known to not be international scammers, going around picking up the phone, trying to get over on people, scam people out of their credit cards and out of their stuff. Now, there might be somebody being like, no, there was one guy in 1992. Okay, there might have been a person or two. But let's be honest, we're not known for that. They're known for that. And all of the crime that happens over there, they project on us and act. And this is the thing that people don't like. The action as if they're holier than thou. And look at, oh, you guys have the baby mamas and stuff like that. Do you understand how many of them come over here? And we're going to say this again, because I don't want to be too much. We're going to say this again. Do you understand how many children out of wedlock happen in Africa? Do you think that all of the children come from married people? Honestly? And this, come on now, because we got this thing of they do everything by the book. They do everything proper. They hold themselves to that standard. Or not that standard. That's the image that they give, the perception that they give off. That they have no children out of wedlock. They don't scam. They go to college. They work hard. They built this well. That's not as accurate at all as they would like to believe. And then when we say that, people say that we're anti-African, but they can say whatever they want to say about us. And that's like, well, we got to face the hard truth. So no, we're putting a lot of this stuff to bed right now. Let's get back to the video. because I don't want to constantly repeat myself, and they're going to bring some of these things up. I'm going to tell you, it gets real after he played that video. I think this conversation gets really real after that video gets played.
But again, when we talk about these diaspora wars, and I want to get into that later, but since we're already here,
Right.
you know, when you even type in diaspora wars, it seems to be, you know, Africans or Caribbeans, and they have this disdain almost, or this disrespect when it comes towards Black Americans, often saying, you know, you don't know where you don't come from, but they would never say that to a Haitian or a Jamaican or a Trinidadian, even though we all came from the same slave ship. It's just different stops. But for some reason, Black Americans or African Americans aren't looked at as a specific culture when Jamaicans are, Haitians are, or whatever, Antigua, like all of them are looked at. Nobody questions their culture.
So
and the fact that we always have to answer our culture or is being questioned by people that look like us, you know what I mean, is very disrespectful. And especially when we have built a unique culture within America. And I think, unfortunately, the media does a good job at portraying only the negative stereotypes. It's just like when we were growing up, the stereotypes that we seen of Africans was the flies on the face. I didn't have this, that, and the third. So that's what we saw. So of course we had a negative perception. But you know, we see as now 2025, 2024, we still seeing that narrative push that don't go to those Black Americans. They ratchet, they ghetto, they don't got no culture, which is just, to me, is very disrespectful. And it is a slap in the face. Like as somebody who's Black American.
Let me ask you something. What country in Africa are you from?
I'm from America. That's what we're saying. Just like a Jamaican, just like a, no, hold on. Just like somebody.
Now, I gotta shout out they patience. We got over 500 people in the chat. I saw you, Sage is on it, Jen is on it. I appreciate you guys. Y'all know what we got to do. We got to flood the chat room with the 100s. Flood the chat room. What he said is very true. In all of this, you don't know where you're coming from. Notice that Jamaicans never get told that. Jamaicans don't get told you don't know where you're coming from. You don't know where you're really from. Your people are really from. Haitians don't get told you don't know where you're really from. And this is why a lot of this stuff really comes from the African diaspora, from Africa, because this doesn't happen as much in the Caribbean. They'll say, oh no, I'm Haitian, because they can understand their ethnogenesis, and their ethnogenesis is actually respected. Our ethnogenesis is not respected. If a Black person says, oh no, I'm from Puerto Rico, nobody says, okay, well, where are you really from? Nobody goes to Jamaica. Where you're not really Jamaican, you're not really Haitian, you're not really Trinidadian, you're really from Africa, and you guys need to go back to Africa. Nobody has the whole going back to Africa things with the Caribbean. There's just a different standard that they're viewing us with, that they don't view with anybody else. Nobody else gets viewed with this standard except us. We're the only group of people who get viewed with, well, even though our country is formed, is older than a lot of these other countries are, honestly, even though it's older, you guys still don't know where you're from. Even though it's the land that you guys built, it's the land that you guys fought for in every single war, developed the government, because there is not like we came to a government. I said this on my last live stream. It's not as if George Washington was the president before we got here. We've been on this land before George Washington was even born, before all of these things ever happened, before the Declaration of Independence, before the Bill of Rights, before the Constitution, before all of these things, which would have never been formed in the first place if we did not build and then defend the country under tyranny. We had to build it. Our ancestors had to build it from scratch. It's not like this place was ruined or build it from scratch. Make roads from scratch. You know how, back in the 1700s, 1600s, 1800s, how difficult it was to make a road. You didn't have a machine that would just move debris and trees out the way. You know how difficult it was to build a road during that time with the technology and resources that they had? Just a road. Now imagine doing that and then building a railroad and then helping to build the train and then operating the train. Do you know back in the days you used to have to pick up, because trains would run off of coal. You would have to take a shovel. There would be somebody in the engine room who would have to take a shovel up a bunch of coal and throw it in the furnace so the coal can burn and power the engine. This is very different. And we had to develop all these things. All of these things. The tracks, the trains, the buildings. A lot of people say the airplane, if we're going to be very honest, even though the two white dudes got the patent for it, but the idea of that existed by black people before that. So all of these things that we developed and we get told, well, I mean, you're not really from, yes, we are really from here. We're more from here than anybody else is from here. We have the purest, let's really, I gotta really say this, okay, before we go, because we have, as foundational Black Americans, the purest ethnogenesis of anybody living in America today, more than the Europeans, more than the five, I'm going to say the 5 civilized tribes. We're the purest, rawest Americans that exist. We are, because due to our ethnogenesis in the country of America, we don't have another source. Everything is purely American. Everything is purely this country. We couldn't just go to another country, our original country before, unlike other people. And all of our names were taken away. Our religion was taken away. Our culture was taken away. Our freedom was taken away. All of these things. So everything had to be developed new. That's where the Tut language comes from. Tut did not exist before. Tut isn't a language that derives from an ancient language. Tut is something that is very new, so we can speak in secret. For those of you guys who understand the Tut language or know a little bit of that, every single thing is new. Everything is brand new. So what this means is that we are the purest Americans, more than the Europeans, because the Europeans, they're British. They're really not American. They're really like British American, because they didn't have an ethnogenesis from Britain the way we did. There's still ties to that. French Americans, they're really not as American as they are French, because the tie is still there. You understand? Even what you call the Native Americans, when we go to talk about the 5 civilized tribes, they were civilized. They were called the 5 civilized tribes because they assimilated to Western powers. That's why they were labeled as the 5 civilized tribes. Like, if you guys agree and you guys acquiesce to Western powers, we're going to leave you guys alone. You guys are 5 tribes. There were more tribes than 5, but they left them, essentially, they were colonized. And they said, okay, well, we're going to give 5 different tribes, and you 5 tribes, you guys get to be left alone. To a degree, they were able to keep their names. They were able to keep their names. They were able to keep their religion. They were able to keep their families intact. They were able to keep a lot of their culture. Even some of the ones that were stripped, a little bit of it that was stripped, they were able to keep that. So what you call the 5 civilized tribes, and this is history, they didn't really have an ethnogenesis. When they had their treaties and stuff like that, and they get to live on their resorts in their different lands, they were able to maintain the 5 civilized tribes. I mean, not all Native Americans, but just the 5 civilized tribes. They were able to maintain their culture to a large degree. It was only us, the descendants of slaves, that everything was stripped. Your name, that's gone. Your religion, that's gone. You only eat the food I serve you. You only wear the clothes I give you. You speak the language that I speak, that I tell you to speak. You practice the religion that I tell you to practice, or whatever the case is. You celebrate the holidays that I tell you to celebrate. All of these things created something that was distinct and new. We are the only new people that was birthed from the soil that became America. That's a very powerful statement. It's very powerful to understand that. So we, as the foundational Black Americans, we are really the true Americans. There is nobody more purely American than us. Now, of course, this is not to say that we have not been mistreated. Of course, this is not to say that we have not been done wrong. Of course. But if we're going to look at history, we can't just change history because we've been mistreated, because everybody's been mistreated to certain degrees. That doesn't change who they are ethnically because their nation mistreats them. So we are ethnically American. This is our ethnicity. This is our country that we built. So even if we've been mistreated, that doesn't strip us from that. Because if that's the case, Europeans have been mistreated. Irish have been mistreated. That don't make them not Irish. Chinese people have been mistreated. That don't make them not Chinese. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's been mistreated by their government at a certain point in time. That doesn't strip them from their ethnicity. So we can't be stripped from our ethnicity in our nation due to us being mistreated. We acknowledge that and we fight back against that. All right. So we are the purest Americans. This is our homeland. This is our land. This land belongs to us more than it belongs to anybody else. It does. Let's be honest. When the 5 civilized tribes, and people say, no, this is the land of the Native Americans. This is the land of the 5 civilized tribes. I'm going to make a very bold statement right here. Very bold statement. No, it isn't. It's not. When the 5 civilized tribes, when they agreed to the treaties, because they had to agree, when they agreed to the treaties, it no longer became their land. And that's just how treaties work. When they agreed that this is the part that they're going to live on and they are not to be tampered with and they're to be left alone, then that means that they have given that up. If you gave it up, you can't say it's yours anymore. The 5 civilized tribes, they signed these treaties. They kicked us out the treaties as black folk. They kicked us out. It's not theirs anymore. Doesn't belong to them. What they have now, the casinos and the reservations and stuff, okay, that belongs to them. But the whole country, people act like the whole country belongs to them. No, it doesn't. People say California, well, that was Mexico at a certain point in time. Well, at a certain point in time, you can say it's not anymore. It's not anymore. When you guys lost or you gave it up, it doesn't belong to you anymore. So going back to my original statement, this is more our land than anybody else's. All right. Now let's continue. And you guys can quote me on that.
Somebody from Jamaica, they're not going to say what country in Africa they're from. Somebody in Haiti is not going to say what country from. They're going to say they're Haitian.
Because they were closer from, what is it called? The triangular slave
but
trade.
Then when you ask them that question, they're not going to have a definitive answer.
That's because they're already in their own community of Caribbeans, the Haitians, Jamaicans. They're all like in one bowl.
But Black Americans are in their own bowl as well.
The reason why I asked that, that's why Africans feel that way, because they feel like because you don't know where you come from, which is not by fault by Africa.
We know where we come from. We come from America, just like
I guess it's just more
come from Jamaica. Like, what is the difference?
I think it's just more relatable from an African to see another African and be like, oh, where you come from? Oh, I'm from Ghana. I'm from this place. And they know so much about their culture because they do this, and this. So I feel like that's why they feel like you know so much about your culture in Africa. So that's why they're like, well, Americans don't know, because honestly, you guys don't know. When Africans come to America, they're busting their behinds to get degrees, become doctors, lawyers, and stuff like that. So when Africans look at African Americans, they're like, these people have credit cards. We don't even have credit cards. These people are not even working, and we come here and we busting our asses. Now we're doing this. We're now 6 figures, and these people have all these years to become all these great jobs and careers, and they're not doing anything. I'm just saying this is what they're saying. Yeah, this is the conversation. Just like
no, okay. And here's the thing. That is very 100% false. That's very false, very incorrect. And they say, oh, well, this is what they're saying. No, that's not really what they're saying. You believe that to a degree too. She told on herself too, because that's why she kept at what part of Africa are you from? This is what they believe. This is what she believes. Okay. She believes that. Oh, it's more relatable. First off, and I'm glad that the brother Eli, I'm glad that he was all like, y'all don't do that to Caribbeans. Y'all don't tell any Caribbean that they don't know where they're from. And it's, oh, well, because they have the Caribbean. What does that mean? Because they have the Caribbean, we have America. Why are we not judged on the same platform, on the same standard as Caribbeans? And then to say, oh, we're lazy and we don't have this, we don't have that. Listen, I'm going to be honest. the few of y'all who come over, because it's not like millions and millions and millions of y'all flock over here and anybody and everybody gets to become an American from Africa. No, y'all take a lot. Let's be honest. A lot of y'all take some of the top tier who come over here, exchange students or people who have some wealth, people who have businesses, and they come over here. Some of them do well. Some of them make six figures, and that's good for them. I'm not going to shame them. There's a lot of Black Americans who make well over six figures. Let's be honest. Let's be very honest. They say, oh, they come over here, they're not working. Who's not working? Who is not working? We have more, and people gonna get offended by this, but this is the truth. Our unemployment in the Black American community is lower than what it is in Africa. Do you know how many people in Africa do not have steady jobs, steady full-time, part-time jobs, that they do a little side hustle there, a little side hustle? The unemployment in these African countries is incredible. It's something that does not exist in America at all. Even the unemployment that you see, you still see, I'm technically unemployed because I work for myself. That don't exist where they're from, a lot of them. Okay, and this isn't to just be mean or beat up on them, but we're going to tell the truth. To say, oh, we come over here and they're not working, you're comparing about 1,000 people to 40 million. And you're comparing yourself getting six figures. You're not doing anything that has not been done well before. Now, let me let the brother break it down, because then they're going to keep getting into it. I don't want to be too long and then have to repeat the same thing. So let me let the brother break it down.
Y'all have all this time to get free money, free loans, and you don't get that back at home.
Yeah, but y'all get that when y'all come here, though.
Exactly, and guess what? We're right here, and y'all are still here.
There's a lot of grants and loans and different.
And that I want to take it back, so I want you guys to visualize that.
So much about your culture in Africa, so that's what they're like. Well, Americans don't
I
know.
want you guys to visualize her doing
When
it.
Africans come to America, they're busting their behinds to get degrees, become doctors, lawyers, and stuff like that. So when Africans look at African Americans, they're like, these people have credit cards. We don't even have credit cards. These people are not even working, and we come here and we busting our asses. Now we're doing this. We're now six figures, and these people have all these years to become all these great jobs and careers, and they're not doing anything. I'm just saying this is what they're saying. Yeah, this is the conversation.
She's saying that. Notice she's saying, I'm just saying this is what they're saying. Then no, this is not what they're saying. This is what you all are saying. She's saying this not because she's trying to give context to what they believe. She's saying this because she believes this. This is what she believes.
Y'all have all this time to get free money, free loans, and you don't get that back at home.
Yeah, but y'all get that when y'all come here, though.
Exactly, and guess what? We're right here, and y'all are still here.
Now, we're right here, and you're still here. Just visualize that for a second. We're right here, and you're still here, ma'am. And this is, I'm gonna be honest. This comes from, first off, a lot of anti-Black American sentiment and delusion. This is, I'm gonna be very honest. This is why y'all gotta flee, because you're not honest at all. No liars. Listen, let me tell you something about liars. Liars are never problem solvers. You never go to somebody who's a pathological liar to solve a problem. You never go to, because they don't solve problems. Liars are very dishonest problem causers. They're not problem solvers. They don't solve issues. They don't solve problems. They don't do that. For you to be like, we're right here and you're right here, ma'am. You're not anywhere. If we take, I'm gonna be honest, we take the top 10 Black Americans are beating the top 10 Nigerians, top 10 Ghanaians, top 10 South Africans, top 10 Jamaicans, top 10 Haitians, top 10. And this ain't to be mean, but this is the truth. Our top 10, FBA's top 10, beating everybody. It's not close. It's not a competition at all. Our top 10 is unmesswittable. I'm substituting that word. Our top 10 is not being beat by nobody. Our top 15 not being beat by no. Our top 20 is not being beat by nobody. You bragging about, and that's the delusion. Y'all thinking, oh, I'm making 6 figures. Ma'am, 6 figures ain't nothing new to us. You got Black American millionaires, people who make well over 6 figures. Okay. What happens is, because you are so insecure, and a lot of this stuff, I'm going to be very honest with you, a lot of this stuff comes from the insecurity that they have. So they always look at the bottom. You don't compare yourself from the bottom, you compare yourself from the top up. And from the top up, they ain't doing that well. They're not power brokers, they're not king makers. There's some of them who come over, they become doctors, they become nurses, and that's cool. That's not new, but that's cool. But you're going, we're right here. We got a 6-figure house. And look at that person on Section 8. Yeah, you have to look at the person on Section 8, because when you compare your 6-figure house to all Black Americans who have 6-figure houses, yours don't look that nice. You don't look that good. When you compare, when it's apples to apples, you don't look that good. So you want to compare yourself to the bottom. Oh, we're here. I want to compare a doctor to someone who doesn't have a job. Ma'am. And when we come over, they act like they seize opportunities. Do you understand? If we were to go to Africa, we would be at the top about 5% of any country. And this is, let's be honest, of any country we went to, we would be at the top 5% at those countries. And we would be able to say even more true statements about this. We'd be all like, man, there's gold here, there's diamonds here, all these natural resources. Like she said, the thing about the credit cards. Well, we don't have credit cards. Y'all got diamonds. We can't go in our backyard and pull up a diamond. Y'all can go in y'all backyard, pull up diamonds, gold, natural resources. Y'all got something more valuable than credit cards. Y'all want to talk about some damn credit cards, which also shows your lack of history. It also shows that you're making it seem like we have not had our neighborhoods bombed. We have not had our stores destroyed. We have not had generational wealth stripped from us time and time again. It shows your lack of, number one, history, knowledge of history, and number two, empathy. It shows your lack of both of those things for you to come over and have the audacity to say such a thing. That you don't understand. There's still survivors of the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre trying to get reparations because that was a thriving Black community that was blown up. And your lack of history is saying, well, I don't understand. You sound like a white supremacist. I don't understand why you guys can't pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. Sounds like a white supremacist. Because we don't say that to Africa. We don't look at Africa. We don't go there and be all like, I don't understand why so many of y'all hungry. That's just, y'all act like monkeys. Because that's the language and the ideology of a white supremacist that we don't take when we go to Africa. We don't view them like that. We don't go over there and be all like, why are all these kids starving when you guys got all this natural resources? We're not hungry. We're doing good. Or I'm kind of full right now. You guys are just lazy and we're up here and you're down here. We don't do that to them. We don't go to their places and then look at the poorest of them and be all like, well, I don't understand. You guys are, that's because y'all lazy. That's just because y'all lazy. We go over there and we understand like, okay, that's because government officials are corrupt. That's because your resources are taken from you guys. That's because you got, to be honest, more sympathy is given than what is deserved, but we are very sympathetic. Y'all come over here, we got whole eminent domain going on, the Highway Act, current discrimination in employment, school, all of this. These things happen. Look at what just happened to the turkey leg hut. That doesn't happen to any non-FBA business. Look at what happened to the Tulsa, Oklahoma, or Rosewood, or all of Bruce's Beach, or all of these other places that were taken. People are still currently to this day fighting for their homes, currently to this day, to keep their home because the state wants to take it away from them. And you guys are coming over here. We're up here and you're down here, and I don't understand because you guys are just lazy because we just be busting our ass. Bust your ass at home with all those natural resources. Then go home. If y'all be busting your ass and y'all be just doing it like that and y'all just great like that, go home and bust y'all got diamonds, y'all got natural resources, oil, all this stuff, and we don't got that here. Bust y'all have the Africa, the continent of Africa, has more natural resources than any other continent in the world. Y'all should be living like y'all kings and queens in Wakanda. What's wrong with that? If we were to go to y'all countries, we would be living like we T'Challa, the king of Wakanda. We would be living like that. We would turn that into Wakanda. Y'all come over here, y'all don't do that great in comparison. Y'all comparing the top 10 Nigerians in America to the bottom 10 Black Americans. No, compare the top 10, compare people who are your peers. Y'all make 6 figures, compare your 6 figures to the 6 figures that is made by a Black American. Y'all not doing nothing new. Oh, we got 6 figures. Okay. Oh boy. And they're going to keep getting into it. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button because we really going in. We got more people coming in. All right. It says, hold on. George Floyd #2. What does that mean? Yeah, well, okay. Let me time that out. I don't know what that means, but okay. Not going to be having that. And I don't know what you were saying. I don't know if that's a context or something else, but I don't know what that means. Actually, let me get to some of the cash apps real quick because we had a few of them. Shout out to We Next, aka DSB. It says, if she stopped being stupid in research, she would see we get redlined and we still come out on top. We do. And this is still something that currently happens today. Like I said, it shows the lack of history, knowledge of history, and empathy. Okay. Shout out to you for that. I appreciate that. Then Avenge Our Ancestors says, well, we is the key world. Everything is handed to them. That's true. They know their role when they come over here and be buffer class groups. That's very true. And they're going to get into that a little bit. That's very true. Let me get to the cash apps real quick because we got some more cash apps. Shout out to Barbara. I appreciate that. BG. Thank you. Let's get into it.
There's a lot of grants and loans and different situations.
People from here is not getting them loans that y'all come here and get them.
You said what you just said?
No, I said there's a lot of.
That's the point that they're proving. The people here are not even getting it. So it's like, what are y'all doing?
I'm saying the Black people here are not getting them same opportunities that y'all come from y'all Africa and coming here and get. We don't get those.
Considering not just Africans, everybody, all the other countries are considering y'all as being lazy because it's like, why aren't y'all getting these? Like, why y'all not busting y'all asses? Y'all should be better than the Chinese. Y'all Americans. Yeah. Y'all should be better than America. Y'all should be better than Chinese people who come over here.
But
my question is, what are the opportunities that you think that we have over?
That's different, right?
The grants, the loans, the scholarships, and stuff.
We're getting more than you.
I don't understand what. No, I've never heard of anything.
Are y'all seeing what's going on with the immigrants right now and how the benefits that they're receiving? Are y'all aware of this right now?
The immigrants where. Here,
all of these immigrants
in
to like New York and
Chicago.
Are you aware of the benefits that they're getting right now? The free hotels and the free EBTs and all of this.
$500 a week
before you
per
continue.
person.
Immigrants. What immigrants are you talking about? Because we're talking about Mexicans. Yeah, because that's what I see. I see it's like the Guatemalans,
the Venezuelan. Yeah, like
we're not talking about them right now.
But
we're talking about immigrants. But immigrants. But what you just said is that Africans are getting more opportunities than
Africans, Caribbeans. Yes.
We're not talking about the Venezuelans.
What do you mean how?
So how? Answer that question.
America is giving immigrants from other countries more opportunities that they would give a Black man specifically. If you look online, if you go online and search, we go online and search for grants and loans and everything specifically for Black men. There's none.
And NAACP don't have. They have plenty of awards and scholarships
and that just shows you how America treats Black people as a whole. It's America.
But that's the point we're trying to get to, y'all. That the reason we're not as far as people come from other countries and get is because.
No, I'm sorry. This is not to be ignorant because you still haven't answered my question as to what. Us
you want to know the name of a grant?
Specific grant?
Like, I don't get what
not even just that because there isn't anything specific that we're receiving.
Yeah, but hold on. You have not pointed out any simple direct way you can know that Black people are lazy, but yet y'all can claim and give us that title. You don't know that. This is what
Chinese people give y'all that title.
No. Africans as well. A lot of foreign people or immigrant people are doing it. We're not going to cut the slack. It's everybody doing that shit to Black Americans.
But do you know how hard it is? No, listen. Do you know how hard it is to leave your country, our home, Africa, wherever in Africa, to now to even get?
Okay. Let's take this back. We're gonna take this back. All right. I think I might have misread some of the super chats. Somebody saying that in the chat room. Well, yeah. Send another one. I got you. Get this off. Shout out to Phil for the super sticker. Appreciate that. Shout out to Ricky. Ricky says the African Times /USA found the claim that Nigerians are the most educated immigrants in the U.S. as unsustained. I'm trying to see. Unsustained and patently false. Oh, that's interesting. So all so okay. They found that claim is false. Apparently it might be false. I'm gonna have to look into that. Thank you for that. I'm gonna say this. They come over here and this, like I said, they start peddling a lot of the anti-black, anti-FBA talking points. Well, if we could get the loans, why can't you get the loans? Why we not getting anything that y'all not getting? If we got the opportunities, why aren't y'all getting the opportunities? The thing is that you guys are coming here as a buffer class. The reason why, I'm gonna be honest, the reason why the dominant society likes you guys more than they like us is because they get to go and tell racist jokes. They get to go in there. I'm going to be very honest. They get to go in there. They'll say the N-word. They'll tell little racist joke. They'll make you the butt of the racist joke and you'll sit there and laugh. A lot of them. Not all, but a lot of them will. We hear one of our white coworkers saying the N-word, it's going to be a problem. And it will be addressed. We're not going to be like, man, I don't want to lose my job, man. No, it's going to be a problem. They know that. There is a certain resistance in us that they know we have that they don't have. Y'all don't. That's the truth of it. Y'all talking about, well, what do we get that y'all don't get? That's the same thing affirmative action does. Is we all supposed to get this thing and we get pushed to the back of the line. You want to know what you guys get that we don't get? Anti-black discrimination to the same degree. You don't. What happened to the turkey leg hut? What they have tried to do to the turkey leg hut, for some of you guys who don't know, the turkey leg hut, black-owned business in Texas, closed down. The health inspector said that there were so many colds or whatever the case is, so they had to close the store down. They've been trying to close down the Turkey Leg Hut, a foundational Black American-owned business, for years. Ever since I've known about the Turkey Leg Hut, they've been trying to close the Turkey Leg Hut down. And they've been citing after violations, after noise complaint, after this, constantly putting pressure to close that business down. And eventually they succeeded in closing the business down. There is no other group of people in this country. Let me repeat this. There is no other group of people in this country that has the government and the society at whole pressuring to close their business down. Nobody. You don't have health inspectors running all up in these Asian businesses at all. You do not. You don't have, first off, they don't be getting bombed like that, like how we had our businesses bombed and blown up and vandalized. Also, vandalism. There is no other group of people who have their businesses more vandalized than Foundational Black Americans. Foundational Black Americans have our businesses burned down and vandalized and robbed more than any other ethnicity in the United States combined. Period. There's no one who is targeted for hate crimes more than our businesses are. Even if we were to get the loans, because and the grants and all of these things that they give to them. And it's not because y'all hardworking, it's because you guys comply. You guys are more easygoing to the dominant society. You are, really. A lot of you, not all of you. I don't want to paint all of you guys with one broad brush, but a lot of you are. Those ladies are, and the people who tell those things are. They are, you are. This is why you're more easy to work with them. You guys don't get targeted. The turkey leg hut stuff. Name an African business that would happen to, or Jamaican business that would happen to, or Chinese business that would happen to, or Hispanic business that would happen to. That doesn't happen to anybody else. That only happens to us. When we work our asses off and when we get our businesses and we start, and it's a popular business, people love it, the food is great, people travel to come to, people try to make sure that when they're in that area they go to the turkey leg hut. And constantly it's this thing of, we gotta find a way to shut it down, we gotta find a way to stop them. They deliberately put glass ceilings and we break them, and another one and we break it, and another one and we break it. That don't happen to y'all. So you ask, what are the things that you get that we don't get? Y'all get to get off. Y'all don't get targeted. What do y'all get? Y'all don't have this big red dot on your back, this big bullseye on your back that we have. Name another ethnicity in America who's had their neighborhoods blown up by the government. Name another ethnicity in America that's had their neighborhoods flooded. No type of punishment, no type of reparations. That's where Bruce's Beach, not Bruce's Beach, that's where Lake Lanier is from. If you guys know about Lake Lanier, that was a black neighborhood, a whole neighborhood flooded because it was successful. There's no other group of people who be all like, hey, look at those people over there, they're doing well, let's blow them up. That doesn't happen to anybody else. That only happens to us, and it still happens to us. So for you guys to come over here and be like, we're up here and you're down here, so I don't understand. That's because you guys don't have a target, because you guys play the game. And based off of what you're saying, I can tell you guys do. You guys play the game.
Get a visa in itself is hard. It's not. It's
But
not.
why, you know how hard it is to build America
We're not talking
for
about that
free,
right now, though,
and not to get anything? Because you're only speaking from an African perspective.
But if it's so hard, why do millions of people do it every day, every year, every week, every month?
I don't want it to negate from what you're trying to say. Listen,
What is it? What is the shit that they give for school
scholarships?
Not the scholarships, but they had and they took away the rights recently.
Affirmative action.
Affirmative action. Look, that's being spread between. That was just supposed to be for African Americans, and they just made that shit for the whole anybody.
But what I don't want to happen is I don't want no one to take away from the hard work that Africans are doing to get to where they are. We're not getting.
We're not doing that. But if you come here and you saying disrespect to African American, look,
it's literally they're.
Can I ask y'all a question? Y'all know Hispanic people, right? If a person doesn't know Spanish, but he's still considered Puerto Rican, right? Don't every Puerto Rican person still claim they're Puerto Rican? They're not. You're American Spanish. They don't say that shit. But we got to hear from African people how we're not as black as they are because we were born in America.
Okay.
Yeah, I think when it comes to this conversation, it's just, like I said, it's very disingenuous to say Black Americans are lazy, especially when Black Americans are the reason why your family was able to leave your country and come to a better country and have a better opportunity. And we can't act like some Africans came here because their families were well off. Like, you know what I'm saying? So let's not act like every family was poor.
It's a very small percentage.
No, let's not act like every family was poor. They came over here like all struggling.
It's Africa. It's a third world country. This is a first world country. So 9 times out of 10, everyone is coming over here.
Yeah,
No. Africa is not a country. Africa is a continent. And I'm glad that that brother brought that up. A lot of them, they come over here. They're not sitting up here coming over. And this is the lie that gets told. Let's take that down. This is the lie that gets told a lot, that they're coming over here and they don't have any money. All immigrants, not just African immigrants, but pretty much every single immigrant coming to America tell the same exact story, that they came over here or their grandparents came over here and they didn't have $1 to their name. All they had was the clothes on their backs, and they came over here and they worked 100 hours a week to find a place to live, and they used to eat little pieces of bread every day, and they grinded it out until they was able to buy a business and get a business and be successful. And all they say, all of them tell this lie as if there is no wealth where they come from. She said Africa is the third world country. First off, Africa is a continent, and there are people who do have money. There are people who do have businesses. There are people who do have licenses and skills in America. even if you can't take your practice, if you're a doctor in Africa and you can't take your license and just start practicing, they will look at that and that will be a consideration for you to come over here. And they'd be all like, okay, well, it will be a lot easier for you guys, for you to integrate in American medicine because you're already a doctor where you're from. So a lot of them, they come over here with work visas and students and transfer students. So the whole narrative of it, they make it seem like they swam across the ocean to come over here. No, not really. And on top of that, a lot of them got help when they got here. There's so many, and they never bring this up because this debunks the narrative that they're just this hard-working group of people. They never bring up the fact that there are government assistance programs specifically for them, like DACA, and other programs, the Dreamer programs, and other affirmative action things. The brother just brought up affirmative action, and it was supposed to be just for us, and we get pushed to the back of the line of that. You all get to come, and you all get to benefit from all of these programs that were established off of our grievance. And you guys don't want to acknowledge that. Then you guys want to look back and be like, no, this is all hard work. And maybe a little loan from the government, but it's really mostly hard work right here. No. Some of you guys aren't coming over here from squalor and poor, let's be honest. And then the ones that do come over here, y'all getting a handout that we not getting. And then all of y'all not doing great. Every Nigerian is not rich. Dun, 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 surprise. Every Nigerian is not rich. Okay, let's be in America. That's not the case. Y'all not living in no damn skyscrapers now. Come on now. Y'all make it seem like y'all the richest people in the world. No, you're not really. And I'm not to, this ain't to discredit your hard work, because it is hard work. But guess what? You're going to say something, it's going to sting, but it's true. You left because it was harder in your country than it is in America. That's the only reason why you left. If it was easier in your country than it was in America, you wouldn't have left. You didn't leave for more hardship. You left for an easier time. You left for more opportunities to become successful. You left for an easier path to success than what existed where you're from. So you want to talk about it was hard? It was easy. It might have been a hard path, but it was harder to stay in your situation. And we made that possible for you guys. So instead of coming here, and it's not a thing where we don't want you guys to be successful. Let me make that very clear. It's not that we don't want you to be successful. It's the fact that you guys come over and you guys get to puffing your chest out, and you guys get to being all like, we up here and y'all down here, and we get loans and y'all don't get loans, and I don't understand, and we just work so hard, and y'all lazy and y'all don't like to work. Y'all puffing y'all chest out, stepping in the footsteps that we've laid for you all. There was no they did not allow black doctors, black people to become licensed doctors before us, before we have worked for that establishment to happen, for us to have worked for that, for us to have worked to defeat segregation to the degree that we have, where anybody can buy a house anywhere. It's not like black people can't buy land here in America. We have worked for that. For you guys to get the rights to even go to the bank and get a loan and get these things, we have done that. For them to say we don't hire Africans, that would be discrimination because of us. We have established that anti-discrimination laws. Discrimination was the law in most of America. I want you guys to really understand this. Job discrimination, banking discrimination, housing discrimination, school discrimination. Most of American history, discrimination was totally legal. Completely fine. It wasn't until we said, hey, all this discrimination where y'all get to have everything and we're just relegated to this part, that's over with. We're going to stop all that. There's not going to be no thing where we got to live in this segregated unresourced community, and y'all get to have all the resources and y'all get to be everywhere. We ain't gonna have all that. Most of America, it's been like that until we stopped it. So the fact that you get to live anywhere you want to, that's because of us. The fact that if somebody says that we don't hire Africans and you get to sue them, that's because of us. That's not because of you. It's not. So it's very disrespectful. Okay. Let's continue.
That's what their point is. We're starting from zero.
Literally.
That's what the
Black Americans started
no
from zero
credit, no
too.
nothing.
Like, that's what I'm saying.
But we're talking about right now. We're coming here with no credit, no nothing, no job.
Neither are we.
Our degrees in Africa or wherever, Nigeria, Ghana. We can't.
It's like going to middle school.
We're starting over from.
We don't even have an education system to prosper from.
And see, this is the stereotype, and I'm not going to be too long with that because I already just kind of broke that down. The stereotype of we came over from nothing. No, not a lot of y'all. And the thing is that with a lot of immigrants, what they do is they'll say we came over from nothing. Yeah, but what happened when you got here, though? What happened when you got here, though? You were given, this is what Dr. King was even saying. They come over here and they get an economic base given to them by the government. Dr. King made this point multiple times that the immigrants, they come over and they're given things. Well, he was mainly talking about the Europeans, but this goes for all immigrants, to be honest. They're coming over and they're giving economic bases and floors so they don't fall into poverty. Otherwise, all of them would be impoverished. None of them are just coming over here and saying, off of hard work and will, we will succeed. None of them are doing that. Dr. King in the 1960s was saying that y'all coming over here and y'all giving it. Okay. Yo, the trolls are heavy in the chat room. I need the mods to really get on it because I'm seeing a lot of these trolls in the chat room this evening. They're giving stuff that we're not. I know y'all mad. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to be mad. It's okay. The truth makes people angry sometimes, but that don't make it not the truth. They're giving stuff. So what happened when you got here? You got a business deal, a business loan. You walked in the footsteps. Even if you came here with nothing, you walked in our footsteps to become successful.
And try to say that Africans, we're not working as hard, or we're getting things easier.
I don't think we're saying that. We're saying we don't appreciate the disrespect.
Oh, I understand
the constant Black Americans are lazy when that's simply not true. Black Americans are some of the most profitable, the richest Black nation on earth. Like, we got the most degrees as a collective. Like, you know what I'm saying? So to come over here and to keep disrespecting us.
I think it's just more so saying some instead of saying everybody.
But you didn't say some when you was trying to paint all Africans as being got all these degrees. You ain't say some. You tried to all of them and try to make it seem like all of them are coming over here and prospering when that's simply not true either. Like,
so some Africans who come over here, they do very well, more than some Americans, and some Americans, are doing better than some Africans. I think we should just leave it at that.
No. See, and the thing is shout out to those brothers, because their pushback made her change her stance, because that's not originally what she was saying. She said, we're up here, y'all down here. She made a general statement about where they are in society versus where we are in society. Now, because of all of the pushback that the brothers are giving, now she's saying, oh, well, some are doing better and then some are not doing better. We should just leave it at that. No, because the same ideology that you came here with, you're going to leave if it doesn't get corrected.
More of a ratio that we're honestly doing well, and they just feel like you guys are just not doing much. I think that's the better way to put it.
But that's wrong. You get what I'm saying? You're justifying the wrong. Like, I don't get it.
That's wrong. And that doesn't mean that the disrespect has to get there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I would say arguably if Black Americans was in some of y'all countries, those countries would be way more better than they are today.
And honestly, that's what y'all should do. But people are doing it. It's just on a small scale. So I think it's just more so the scale. Like,
because as a Black American, I don't know what it feels like to have to leave my country to go live somewhere else, because we have fought for everything for us to stay in this country and be able to make a living, not only for ourselves, but for the immigrants that's coming here. So I can't relate to leaving my country. I never did that. My people never left our country. We stayed here and fought for everything we had to get through: slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, all of that. We didn't have the luxury to be like, you know what? Let me go to fucking Saudi Arabia and just live my life thanks to the Saudi Arabians who made it possible. Like, no, we stood here and fought. So the fact that we have to get the disrespect, not even from not only from the white people, from the Asian people, now from the people that we thought was part of the African diaspora,
supposed to click up.
looking at us like, no, them niggas, you heard what they said on this shit, stay away from them black. These are African people telling African people to stay away from black Americans. How you don't feel like?
But you also have to look at the statistics. What is it showing? Like, if I was to be with an American man, just any typical man, 9 out of 10, I'm probably going to be a baby mama. So that's what they're seeing. So if I marry an African man,
that's like me going to fucking Africa. 9 times out of 10, the poverty and all the fucking the corrupt politicians. It's the same shit.
It's
not 100%.
The reason why, let me say something though. The reason why Africans have this negative connotation on African Americans is because of the stereotypes, what they're seeing on TV. It doesn't make it facts. Nothing is factual. We're not. They what they know is what they see. You can't really fault them. They're not here. You know what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying, right? We see negative stereotypes about Africans too, but we don't disrespect y'all.
You don't disrespect us, really.
I mean,
really.
In the
example.
Really.
Oh, y'all from Africa, y'all eat monkeys.
The flies.
Nobody says that.
No. Flies on the face.
Y'all eat monkeys?
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Y'all walk around naked.
We don't be saying that y'all eat monkeys. We're now y'all took the African booty scratcher thing to up to 10 because we didn't. I've never heard nobody be all like they be eating monkeys in Africa. That's not something that we culturally grew up talking about. To them, like, come on now.
Well, y'all have to stop with this. When I was in high school, I called African.
No, there's
booty
grown
scratch.
men.
Everybody got called an African.
But
We talking about grown ass adults calling niggas akatas. Calling niggas akatas. Like,
but that's our language. It's nothing offensive. It's just I'm a akata. So for example, let's back it up. I'm Ghanaian and American, so I see both sides. So it's like akata is nothing negative. Akata is an American black person. I'm an akata. But at the end of the day, I represent Ghana more because I know my culture from Ghana. For an example, my mom, she's American. I don't know what part of Africa she was from. My dad, he's Ghanaian.
She's American, like.
But at the end of the day,
I don't know. They're American.
Okay, we're gonna have to pause it right there. We're not gonna fast forward past the Akata thing. And this is why problems do not get solved. I'm only doing this not to beat up on nobody. I'm doing this to solve this problem. Because this problem has to be solved with our empowerment and our standing up for our birthright and our nation. And then by us respecting ourselves, because nobody's going to respect you if you don't respect yourself. By us respecting ourselves, it will force everybody else to respect us. Everybody else is going to have to, because we're not tolerating any disrespect. You talking about, well, Akata's not a derogatory term. Akata just means a black American. In what context? That's the important thing. What is the context that Akata is used? Akata is only used in a derogatory, offensive manner. We've gone through years of this. Every single conversation, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, online, everything. When y'all use the word Akata, it's always meant in a very derogatory manner. For instance, the word Southerner. There's nothing wrong with the word Southerner. But if people only use Southerner in a derogatory manner, people would have an issue with it. It would become an insult. You're using it in an insulting way. And then you're saying, well, hold on, technically, it's not an insult. You guys are insulting us. You're insulting us, which is what it is. You're using it and you're viewing us as Akata, lost cat, or lost people. We're not lost. We're from here. If anything, we know more about where we're from than what you know about where you're from. She don't know what country in Africa she's from because she's from America. She's not from Africa. And the whole stereotypes, let's be honest, the stereotypes with the black baby mama stuff. What? The stereotypes with the baby mama stuff. Do you understand how many anchor babies y'all be having? Do you understand how many children born out of wedlock go on in Africa? And then she says 9 times out of 10. Ain't no 9 times out of 10. Do you understand how many African men come to America and cheat on their African family that still live in Africa? Do you understand? Y'all want to talk about infidelity? Y'all want to talk about children being born out of wedlock? See, this comes this oh, we're holier than thou thing, and y'all don't be doing that. Y'all do not. Not to say that us as Black Americans can't get better, because I'm like, some y'all can. Okay, we acknowledge it at least. We're the only people who not acting like we holier than thou. Y'all doing the same thing to a worse degree, to be honest, and y'all acting like y'all holier than thou when y'all come over here.
But
you wouldn't say that to a Jamaican.
But they're African American though.
Would you say a Jamaican don't know what part of Africa he's from?
Jamaicans are Caribbean, so they already have their own like.
Would you say he don't know what part of Africa he's
but
from?
he know where he comes from. He comes from Jamaica.
Just like a Black person know they come
But
from
I guess
Africa.
maybe okay. But I guess
I gotta say, these brothers they're laughing off because this is ridiculous. It is. These brothers have explained time and time again that they are not from Africa. They are from America. Black Americans are from America. And these women are so boneheaded. They can't comprehend it. They be all like, yeah, well, Jamaicans have the Caribbean. What does that even mean? So they don't have to be from Africa, but we got to be from Africa. What does that mean? That's why they laughing, because these women are just thick-headed. They don't understand.
Maybe they can. But I guess maybe.
Wait, one second.
I guess it's easier to pinpoint.
A Jamaica is from Jamaica, right?
Yes.
An American is from where?
An African American is from Africa and America, but they don't know what part.
And this is why that term is confusing, is which I hear people just say Black Americans now, because we try to do the right thing and at least acknowledge our ancestry. Unlike, you don't see a Haitian saying I'm African Haitian, or a Jamaican saying I'm African. We try to do the right thing and acknowledge our ancestry, and now it's being used. Well, what part? Like, no, just for that, we just Black Americans now. Like, fuck all that African American shit, bro. We Black Americans now, bro. Because if y'all don't question the Caribbeans, then y'all shouldn't question the Americans.
Caribbeans know where they come from. African Americans don't know.
They do not.
But you have to understand, like, there's a lot. Like Jamaicans, most of them they come from Ghana, so most of them can easily pinpoint where they're from.
But they don't get
a Jamaican is not going to say I'm from Ghana. He's going to say he's from Jamaica, right?
Y'all trying to bail them.
I'm not
so what does a Haitian say?
I don't know.
What does somebody from Antigua say?
I don't know. But
they from their country.
Listen, I'm just trying to give you maybe a reason as to why. I'm not saying what they're doing or saying is correct. I'm just trying to give you guys maybe another way to look at it.
No,
because
it's wrong. We're not going to look at it a different way. It's just wrong. They need to stop.
It's easy for them to see. Okay.
I get what you're saying. You looking at it from the perspective of you from Africa, and you get why they saying they from Jamaica or whatever. But it's still wrong at the end of the day, because we have our own country. Huh? It's not the truth. America is a country.
No, it's okay. And this is, let's be very honest, this is why we have such a disconnect from the diaspora. Let me take this back. This is why the whole concept of Pan-Africanism has fallen apart. And I made this clear. Let me make this very clear. I've said this years ago on YouTube. The concept of Pan-Africanism has fallen apart due to the reason that it's like this worship of the continent of Africa, and everything is about Africa, 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 and people acting like Africa is someplace sent from heaven above. And the closer you are to Africa, we got to be from Africa. No, everything's not about Africa. And no disrespect, but everything's not about Africa. There's some writers in Africa. There's some great places, beautiful people in Africa, but everything's not about Africa. We are not from Africa. The same way a Jamaican is not from Africa, the same way a Haitian is not from Africa, because with that argument that, well, before they got to Jamaica or Haiti, they were in Africa, you would have to say the same thing to the Hispanics. You would have to say the same thing to the Asians. You would have to say the same thing for the Europeans. Everybody is an African. If you're going by that logic, the world is Africa. There's really no other place besides Africa in the world. If we're going to use that argument, this is why the term ethnogenesis was so important. Let's get back to it. Actually, I'm going to show you again. The term ethnogenesis was so very important. Hold on, where is it? Okay. Because without this, with the ethnogenesis term, everything would be the same. There would only be one nation in the world. Yeah, we got over 600 people in the chat. Again, let's hit the 100 emoji. Let's hit that 100 emoji. Let's bring this stuff up. People act like ethnogenesis is a made-up thing. No, without the ethnogenesis, without the concept of an ethnogenesis, the world would be one nation. The world would be one ethnicity. because ethnogenesis exists, that's why you have different nations in different ethnicities. They went through an ethnogenesis when the slave ships dropped them off to Jamaica or Haiti, and we went through an ethnogenesis during chattel slavery in America. It's the same thing. Yet their ethnicity is respected, and we are told that our ethnicity has not been respected. And a lot of that, let's be honest, a lot of that is because we've always had this culture of resisting the system of white supremacy. So we've always had this resistance to America. We've always had this resistance, and then because of that, love for Africa. And I'm not saying you shouldn't love Africa, but I'm just saying that we've always had that love and then sense of belonging. It's a wrongful sense of belonging. There's nothing wrong with having love, but it's a wrongful sense of belonging because it doesn't really exist. We've always, or a lot of us have culturally had this sense of ancient belonging to the continent of Africa. That's where we're like, we're not really from here. We're really from Africa, and we were taken here and everything like that. Now, because we are understanding our culture more, now because we're understanding history and how things happen, we're understanding that, a lot of us, let's be honest, a lot of the Negro people who eventually became slaves in America were already living on this land prior to European slavery. We've already been here prior to 1619. And then the ones that came over through the transatlantic slave trade, they were a part of an ethnogenesis. We were all grouped together. They're all like, well, it don't matter if you were here or you got off the slave trip. Y'all some Negroes, y'all together, y'all slaves. That's what we went through, and that became our ethnogenesis. That's what it is. That is what that is. But we've always had this, we really belong to Africa, and now you're starting to see us grow out of that. That's why he was talking about, we don't use the term African American anymore. Culturally, whether you like to use FBA, whether you like to use freedmen, whether you like to use any acronym that you want to use, or just Black American, culturally, you don't see us using African American like that. You don't see us using that. Culturally, you see us more, if we don't say FBA, we'll say, some people say freedmen, some people say Black American, culturally, you'll see us using those terms more. Because culturally, we've grown out of the sense of belonging to Africa. We've grown out of the ideology that we're these lost people from the country of Africa. I'm gonna be honest, Jamaicans never had that. Haitians never had that. Puerto Ricans never had that. The people in the Caribbean, they've never had that. They've always understood, hey, we got an ethnogenesis, we different from them, and we different from them. We are our own unique, distinct people. They've always had that. The reason why it's such a difficult thing for us is because we've always had that we really belong over there, but now we realize we don't. We don't. No disrespect to them, but we don't. We belong where we're from. We are living on the nation, in the nation our ancestors built. A lot of people can't say that. A lot of y'all telling us we don't know where we're from. Y'all don't live in the nation of your people. We live in the nation of our people. We live in a nation that our ancestors built. We live in a nation that our ancestors fought for. We live in a nation that our ancestors developed. We live in our home. Y'all don't. While y'all telling us that we don't know where we're from, sounds more like a projection. We're the number one ethnic group that has lived and stayed and fought and maintained the nation that our people have built, not nobody else. So let's be honest about that. So the term African American, we're starting to lose that because we're like, hey, we're not all African. And that's not even a diss to Africa, the continent, but we're not all African. We're not. We are Black, we are American, we're Black American. We're foundational Black American, or we're freedmen, or something else, but we're not African. Yeah, we do have ties to Africa, of course. We do have some type of DNA ties to Africa. Yeah, of course. And we can acknowledge that. We're not refuting that the transatlantic slave trade happened. We can acknowledge that, but that we're not African. It don't count no more. When we left, it was over. Our ties were cut. We're different now. And that's okay. We're different. And then that's still not on top of the fact that most of the Negro people who became slaves already were on this land. European explorers have said this. All historians admit to this. Oh, let me get back to the other thing.
They have culture there. So if I say I'm American from America. That's my culture.
I think it's more so pinpointing the Africa and African roots, as far as they're saying y'all don't have culture, y'all don't know the history and the background of Africa, where y'all come from. So, like, for example, you wouldn't saying a Chinese person like, oh, I'm not Chinese, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, you would say,
I gave that example too about the Hispanic. They don't get questioned by other Hispanics whether they didn't know one bit of Spanish.
I mean, honestly, Black people, African Americans, we should just come together and just be as one.
But that's what we trying to do. But if you keep saying like, yo, y'all not from here,
like, well, you know what do y'all feel like y'all should do in order to know where you guys come from? Are you guys doing the DNA?
We're telling you, we're telling you we're from America.
So you are still enforcing us to have to prove to you that we're Black enough or we're African enough. We don't feel like we need to do that.
So that's disrespectful.
How's that disrespectful?
Because you don't even want to try.
What? I gotta pay for you to love me? Get the fuck out of here.
Our lineage is in America.
What the fuck?
That's just the bottom line.
So
They don't want to go back.
Let's be, our lineage, like he said, our lineage is in America. All of that DNA test stuff, first off, the science is not fully complete. I'm not going to say it don't work all the way, but the science is really not as advanced as people think it is. It's very inaccurate. A lot of people get inaccurate information if you want to trace it back hundreds of years to Africa and other countries and stuff like that. A lot of the science to that is not fully there yet, but why will we have to? When people say you can trace your DNA to Africa, that's cool, but why should we? Why should we? Japanese people don't trace their DNA to Japan. They would be offended if you even suggested that they should. They would be very offended if you told a Japanese person that they should do a DNA test to figure out where they're from in Japan, where their people are originally from in Japan. They would be offended that you even suggest that. We can, but why should we? We're from this land. And you don't tell anybody else that they should do a DNA test but us. No, we cool. I mean, if you want to, some people want to, you can. For me, I'm cool. I'm cool on that. I know where I'm from.
We solve it. How we solve this issue? Because I feel like it's not, we don't have to say like, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. We can say you don't know a lot about Africa. So what would you do?
Stop spitting the narrative of all these other people that's disrespecting Black Americans. Speak to us like how you want to be spoken to, and we'll do the same.
But what if that's not disrespectful to them? They just feel like you just don't
get me the fuck out of here, man. Send me a mothership. Get me the fuck out of here.
And they will love that because you're taking the time to go to Africa and to learn about it. You know?
You're not even taking the time to talk to us without criticizing us. We're weak, we're lazy, we don't fuck with them.
The fact that you didn't want to do the DNA test, the fact that you didn't want to do this is showing how ignorant you are. That's what we
I'm ignorant because of that?
No, that's
you sound ignorant. Get the fuck out of here.
That's what we're saying.
Get the fuck out of here. Yo, bro, what part of Africa are you from? What are you? Okay then.
See, and this is why a lot of the people have abandoned this whole Pan-African thing. Oh, we got to do a DNA test to figure out what type of where we're from in Africa. No, we don't. Why? What would that matter? No, everything ain't about Africa. This is why people have fallen off of that Pan-African stuff. Why you're hearing less and less about any type of Pan-African and people falling off about that. Okay. Why does it matter where we from? No, we Black here. We're from here. Oh no, well, we're in Africa. Don't matter. If our people haven't been there in centuries, what does it matter? What does it matter if our people were taken there centuries ago and the land that you call now wasn't even the land that existed when we were taken? What does it matter? Ultimately, it really don't. Even if you could figure it out.
But they would never question that. And that's what we find disrespectful. You wouldn't look at him.
Are you Jamaican?
Yeah. Yeah.
Never ever say like, yo, go find a white lady. My mother would never ever say go find a white lady. Like, they wanted
Would your parents expect you to look for your African roots to know where you're from?
No.
Okay.
But he would probably want him to marry a Jamaican.
Definitely like everything from Africa.
Mhm.
Like, they're big into like the history of
Oh,
slavery
yeah,
and
'cause-
all that. We're African, no matter which part of Africa you're for, black or whatever, we're African. I mean, they're pro on that.
Agreed.
As he said, Jim Crow and everything, parents came here, they understand that. Just because we wasn't born here, the lineages are from here, we all are black. We're all gonna get treated the same way.
And that's how we come to solutions when we all can agree, like, just because we're from this country or from that, we're still African. But when you got to constantly being like, well, you know, you're not really African because you can't identify, you ain't do the DNA test to know.
And I understand the brother is trying to be respectful, but we're not all African. And this isn't, and I'm not saying this in a derogatory way, we're not all African. Just like all Asians aren't Japanese. You would never see all Asians say, well, really, we're all Japanese. They can say we're all Asian, but they would never say, yeah, we're all Japanese. No, they would never say that. So no, we're black. We can agree on that, but we're not all African. And people act like African is a race. African is not a race. Africa is a continent.
Which tribe you came from? Like, yo, our experience is unique in America, just like it's different in Jamaica. Like, you know what I mean? Like the Brits is different. It's different like lineages, but they're all African. Like at the end of the day, like, and we acknowledge that. Black Americans have acknowledged that. It's not like we haven't acknowledged our roots. We call ourselves African Americans. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Some people say that they're like the African Americans are saying that I'm not African.
Yeah, a lot of Africans they don't want to
American.
consider African Americans. I think they
I didn't get on no boat.
But those could be the people that you would call ignorant.
Most of them.
And so that's what Africans are saying. Is those people are like.
But that's not. They're saying black people.
Because there are a lot of black people who are saying, "No, I'm not African."
Yeah, a lot of most. If you
But that could also
no, because the thing is that logic only works if you go back centuries in the past. And if you're literally going to go back centuries in the past just to make everybody African, then you would have to apply that to everybody. Then where does it stop? Because it can't just cut off just because you want all of us to be African. Then it has to go centuries past that. Everybody is African. Africa is a continent. Everybody's not from that continent. What the hell are we talking about?
Hell no, I ain't African.
But that could also be in response to the disrespect that we get from African people, though.
Yeah, I mean, it works both ways. Everybody.
But at the end of the
everybody.
right, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to respect. Like, you don't have to be like, oh, what part are you from? You just know that that's my brother because he's black. You know what I'm saying? If we take out the countries or whatever, everybody the same color, and the white people here gonna treat us all the same. Don't pull you over and be like, oh, you African.
Exactly.
That's why I'm gonna leave you alone.
Can I tell you why? Can I tell you why it hurts?
And I'm gonna say I disagree with this. I disagree with what the brother was saying, and I think he's trying to be respectful. So I'm not going to get on him about it. But the thing is that we're not all going to be treated the same. And I brought up the example of Turkey Leg Hut and our businesses and Black Wall Street and Rosewood, okay, and Lake Lanier. These are things that in particular happened to us. The move bombing. These are things that in particular happened to us and nobody else. So for y'all to say, and they make this excuse all the time, oh, well, when the police come over here and they pull you over, they're not going to ask where you're from. They're just going to see black. Okay, but everything else. We have anti-black discrimination that you guys don't experience. You guys do not experience that. So for you to say we're all in the same, we all have the same problem, not to the same degree, we don't. And I'm not trying to mitigate your issues. I'm not trying to talk down about your problems or make it seem like you don't have any suffering that you go through or you don't suffer from racism. But you can't sit up here and tell me that my grandmother, who had to walk to school while the white kids get to have the bus, got to be on the bus to school because they were segregated. Shout out to Joe Biden for that, because Joe Biden was a big factor in that. Okay. But or schools that we had to go to, my mother used to tell me that sometimes when she would go to school, my parents, when they would go to school, and a lot of you guys in the chat room, you guys will understand how many times have you guys went to school and the textbook had all writings in it already? Sometimes people make notes in their textbook. The textbook would have little stickers in it or tears. It wouldn't be a new textbook. It would be an old textbook that some people would have to go to school early and take an eraser and erase all of the pre-existing notes that's already within the textbook. Dr. Claude Anderson even talked about that. That would happen. I've experienced that. People would get a book. You'd think a new book would be fresh, but the book wouldn't be fresh. And I would never understand who wrote. First off, I've never personally wrote in textbooks because I've always kind of just disliked having to erase it. Never knew textbooks. Dr. Claude Anderson talked about this. I think he did an interview on the Breakfast Club where he said that's because we get the hand-me-downs from the dominant society. When they're done taking their notes and then they pass it off to us. So they always have the more advanced technology, the more advanced, up-to-date textbooks, and we get what's done. When they're done, we get what's left. That happens to us. That doesn't happen to anybody else. So you can't tell me that type of discrimination, the type of discrimination that you can walk in and you can see a help wanted sign. You can walk in and ask for an application and the owner can tell you, we don't hire blacks here. We don't hire Negroes here. You're going to have to find someplace else. For most of America, that was the case. That didn't stop becoming the case until the mid 1960s, where that was outlawed. And it still happens. It's just they don't say it. For you guys to come over here and then get pulled over by the police and say we all have the same problems. No, you don't. And for you to say we all have the same problems shows your lack of history of that. We don't all have the same problems. And I'm not going to mitigate your problems. I'm not going to belittle your problems. But you guys should be coming over here and being a resource and backing us up. That's what you guys should be doing. And they're failing to do that for the most part.
Only because we are not going to Africa speaking that rhetoric towards you guys. You guys are flying over here speaking that rhetoric about us. You get
That's like us going over there like, damn, like y'all got all these resources.
Yes, but
why y'all ain't doing nothing with these resources? Y'all letting the Chinese come in and dictate everything. Why
exactly.
If I was over here, I would have been did all. We got all the natural resources. I would have been did. Africa would have been fucking Wakanda by now. Like that's like us saying that same rhetoric. Like,
but it's true though. I agree.
But we're not gonna go over there and disrespect y'all like that.
Well, it's not true. No. He's from Jamaica, right? Who own all the roads, the bridges, and the tolls? Who own? You know who own those? They don't own shit. My father lives in Jamaica. Can't even come to America. But they don't own shit over there either. But I'm saying they're not being questioned.
We're not owning a lot of. First of all, it's just I just feel like I said before.
But this is not a predominantly black country. Africa is a black country and don't own shit. Like that doesn't make sense.
When we come over to America,
black continent, my fault.
Yeah, when we come over to America, you guys still disrespect us. It's the same. I just feel like each parties are disrespecting each other. We just have to come together.
I agree.
I'll give you a great
No, and we're gonna stop that too. The whole you guys do it to us and we do it to you, so we're all the same. No, we're not all the same. Because we don't have this thing. We don't have songs, stay away from the African. We don't have songs where y'all be all like, stay away from we don't have songs like that. Where we generalize every single last one of you guys and tell our children not to be friends with African people, not to marry African people. That don't happen over here. Not to go to African businesses. That don't happen over here. So the whole African booty scratcher thing, or y'all getting made fun of in high school and all that stuff, y'all can't say that's the same.
Great example. And then we're gonna move on, right?
Yeah.
That's like South Africa, right? That's like the whites going to South Africa. Now, when we look at the discrepancies of the wealthy white people compared to the black people, that's like a white European going over to South Africa who made it in South Africa, who's wealthier than the majority of the people that live in South Africa, and be like, damn, these black Africans or colors or whatever the fuck y'all want to identify, they lazy as fuck because I as a white person came over here to this continent or this country and I was able to make it. So y'all lazy as fuck. Like that's the type of rhetoric that.
But that's what's happening though.
But are y'all lazy? Or because y'all come here and say y'all not lazy.
But if
a white person go to Africa, he gonna consider y'all lazy because he got further than the people there.
He already had more money and more opportunity.
Okay,
but that's the same shit for us here.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying we had so who had more money, more resources when it comes to here?
They say Africans, but I don't.
No, not Africa. I'm saying you guys come here on the same notion of the people.
Okay, you say the white people here have more resources and have more money compared to.
We built America and get paid $1.
Yeah, we in the negatives at this point.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And I feel like that's what makes it harder.
The thing is, y'all want us to work for less, and then when we know our worth, then y'all saying, oh, they don't want to work. No, we know our worth. Like, we've been working for less. You get what I'm saying? Like, we tired of working for less. We want our due diligence. We want what's owed to us, and it doesn't mean they're lazy. It just means they want what's due to them. Like, you know what I mean? I'm
gonna be real with you. I just feel like it's gonna take time. If it hasn't been done already for the whole of all African Americans to become successful in 400 years, it's just gonna take more time for the African Americans to just get on that level.
But what country do you know where everybody's successful? Like,
no, I'm just saying as far as like
that was an excellent question. There's not a country in the world where everybody is rich. That only exists in fiction. There's not a country in the world where there is no poor people. Everybody's rich. Nobody's hungry. Nobody's a criminal. Everybody's a hard worker. Nobody's lazy. There's not a country in the world. So we're not going to be held to this standard that nobody else in the world is held to. Get on the level of what she said. It's going to take y'all a while to get on that level. The level of who? Whose level? Whose level?
The derogatory, actions and comments about African Americans.
That's what I'm saying. Black Americans are the most successful out of every black nation on this earth. Like, financially, educationally, like, if you compare Black Americans to any other nation and on the earth, we have the most capital, we have the most spending power, we have the most educated people. Like, you know what I'm saying? So this whole nation, and I get Africa. You could say Africa, but y'all divide yourselves by country. So if you want to compare Nigerians to Black Americans, it's kind of unfair, like, because two different countries, bigger population. Maybe in Nigeria, probably bigger population. But if you look at that population compared to Black Americans, better, we got higher spending power, we got more money, more education. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, this, I can't get over this nation that Black Americans.
I think it's just more so based off what they see. They've never been here. So if they see in China, all the Chinese people are poor and homeless. When we get over there and you finally see like, okay, some people doing stuff, some people doing over here, but it's only a few of them who not doing nothing. So it's just they just never been here. So when they see and they ask their homeboy like, oh, okay, did you marry that girl? No, I ain't gonna marry. You know what I'm saying? So that's when it's like, oh, okay, so now the statistics, okay, you a baby mama, you this, you having 10 kids out of wedlock, like baby mama, your baby, like, that's where it's just they're seeing the results by looking from what's around them. Like,
there's more Black fathers at home than any other group in America.
Is there? I never heard about that.
I'm saying, but y'all look up all the negatives.
It's not even about the negatives. It's about I live in America, so I know what I see. I'm not blind to what I see in front of my face. And it's not to put anybody down, because I really hate this conversation because it's so divisive.
Right.
Even though it's a great one to have because it's helpful to we're able to like listen to each other's frustrations and perspectives is great, but at the same time it can be very divisive. But to answer or to kind of say piggyback what you're saying, like I said, I feel like what I see, I don't see a lot of Black men in the homes.
But she just talked about numbers. So I mean, you did research on baby mothers, right? So why are you researching that and not Black fathers?
The research is all of us are speaking based on, quote unquote, based off what around us, our surroundings.
Yeah.
All my aunties,
You said the numbers.
Numbers as far as what?
That's what you said. You said the numbers show that America has more baby mothers. That's what you
I
said?
didn't say numbers, but like, for example, I don't have if you would compare the white family compared to our family, because he said some numbers and statistics, it's like, with my community, my aunties, there's no father in the home. All my aunties, all my cousins, there's no fathers in the home.
And the American side,
on the American side.
Well, technically,
my
if you talk
dad's
about numbers, there are more single white mothers than there are single Black mothers. There's more white women on welfare than all Black women.
But guess what? Are they showing that on TV? Like most white people are baby mamas. Well, they're not showing that on TV.
That don't mean it don't exist.
That is true. We know that.
You get all your information from TV.
I'm just saying that if someone who's never been here,
and that can go to that. Yeah,
but I mean, internet accessible to everybody though. Like, you know what I mean? So if you're curious about something, look it up.
That's what they're doing. They're seeing like the trials and
looking. I'm not talking about looking on TV. I'm talking about researching.
I'm just saying, researching. They're getting the statistics. They're knowing like, okay, that's crazy. They can literally pull up facts and be like, this is it. So
I would say that it's facts to prove wrong answers all over. I understand.
So then now we really don't know what is the truth, but it's in their own circle and community. That's what they're seeing. Like that's just from my experience from my American side. My dad's side, who is Ghanaian.
Yeah.
Everybody is getting married. Like that's in their culture. You get married before you have baby. You get married before, you have a ceremony. Like everything is like traditional. So that's why they say they don't have culture, because it's y'all parents are not forcing Black American men to get, that's one example. They're not forcing y'all to do that. We're getting married at a younger age and, in a fast.
But if we're only basing around our circle, I could say that I don't know not one.
Let me address that when it comes to the whole marriage thing. Let's get that out the way when it comes to the whole marriage thing. As far as the marriage statistics in America, everybody's marriage statistics, every ethnicity is getting married less and getting divorced more. And I'm not saying they're getting married or getting divorced more than they're getting married, but the marriage rate is actually going down and the divorce rate is going up. That is everybody in America. That's Black America, white America, Hispanic America. There are more people who are having children out of wedlock. Okay. That is the case for everybody. That is not a particularly Black American thing. Now, we do have a thing where that is especially high in our community. This is not something that is culturally ours. This is really a recent phenomenon. This is really recent. Our grandmothers, my grandmother, your grandmother, they were getting married before they even lived with their boyfriend or girlfriend. They were getting married kind of damn near straight out of high school. How many of our parents how many of our grandparents got married in their early 20s, if not right after high school? This is to show you that these things are new things. These things are engineered and embedded to our society and our community to affect the marriage rate and the fathers being in the homes. Because when people say these things, you guys don't take any factoring of the crack epidemic. You don't take any factoring of the mass incarceration era. You don't take that into consideration. These are big things that had major effects that still affect how we live today, that never gets taken into consideration at all. The crack epidemic that didn't happen that long ago, the mass incarceration that still kind of happens, but didn't really happen at its peak that long ago. Before that, we had marriage rates higher than everybody else did. And then there are certain things that were engineered in society that caused the effect of that to happen. Even though marriage is dropping all across America, but it is especially high in our community because of these outside factors that nobody wants to take into consideration. And then when people coming from outside the community be all like, well, you guys clearly don't have culture. You guys clearly don't have intelligence because you guys clearly don't have knowledge of what happened. These are the things that happen. You talking about everybody is married. Do you understand how many anchor babies y'all be having? Do you understand how much infidelity y'all be having? How much adultery y'all be having? How many people come over here and they be cheating and having different families and stuff? Like, come on now. Do you understand how many people are born out of wedlock in Africa? Come on. We not going to play that game. Y'all be coming over here. It's a lot of y'all today have children out of wedlock. A lot of y'all today be doing that from these African countries, in these Caribbean countries. A lot of y'all today be doing that. Y'all, the thing is that y'all only want to show the big fancy weddings and the ceremonies and all of this stuff. Man, most y'all don't be doing that. Not no more. Not like that. Not when you're here. No, you don't. So we're going to tell the truth and put everything in its proper perspective.
Deadbeat man. And I know
So
plenty of them.
you're a pass. What about you?
We in the same circle.
Yeah, circle, but you can't compare a circle to.
But that's what y'all just did.
Nah. From my experience,
There's no way.
My experience meaning like what I see every day, living my life. I've been here for how many years on this earth? I don't see a good example of Black men in the home.
But we can say the opposite, but that's all.
That's all. That's what I'm saying. That's all we can speak for is what we
because of
know.
your personal experiences, like because of your
But you
your
can't.
circle.
But you
I'm
can't
saying
base. You can't base a whole
statistically-
group of people on your experience.
Really can, but I'm saying my experience meaning like not even just my experience, based on statistics, based on what you see on the news, based on people that you know. Like it's just it's common knowledge.
Here's the thing. They keep trying to say, oh, that's my experience. No, you're not trying to say it's your experience. You're trying to say that's the reality of the situation. That's not the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is you have this disposed notion, this anti-Black narrative that already exists. So any statistic that you see, anything that you see that reinforces the already anti-Black narrative that already exists in your mind, you're going to go with that. If you already believe, because you've already been taught that Black fathers, Black American fathers aren't in the home, if you've already been taught that, then the second you see a Black American not being in the home, Black father not being in the home, then you're going to say, well, I've always been taught that, and this is that. So clearly all of them are like that. And then when they get challenged on it, then they want to say, oh no, this is just what I'm seeing. But you're not stating it as if this is just what you're seeing. You're stating it as if this is a fact. And you're talking about based off statistics. The brother brought it up. Statistically speaking, Black American fathers are the most active fathers in their child's life. So he's the only one who brought up any statistics. You guys bringing up statistic. You're saying the word statistics and not sourcing any statistics. You're actually saying something that goes against statistics. You're saying what they see on TV. What TV? What do y'all watch on TV that makes us look so bad and nobody else? Because y'all don't have this type of attitude, this type of narrative, this type of disdain and looking at anybody else in this condescending manner to nobody else gets treated like how we get treated. So what TV do y'all watch where we're just so bad and nobody else is? Where do y'all watch TV at? What channels are y'all watching? We need to know this because y'all don't treat anybody else with these type of stereotypes and this level of disrespect. Only us. And you say you got it from TV or movies. We need to know these TVs and movie shows. These TV shows and movies. We need to know this. Because I'm starting to think that that's a lie. And then based off of your experience, if you want to say that's based off of your experience, okay. But state that that's based off of what you see. Because you're not stating that's based off of what you see. You're trying to state this is the reality of the situation. And then when somebody challenges you on the fact that that is not the reality of the situation, then you be like, oh, well, no, now this is just what I see personally. No, it don't work that way.
The news is blasphemy because a black man could do something wrong and go to jail. They'll paint him as a victim. A white kid could shoot up a school and he'll walk out in handcuffs.
Of course, now.
But I'm saying we all African Americans and Africans could see that they're the ones on the pedestal. But why are we even going in a debate where we have to challenge each other?
The same way black people are always fighting against black people in general, whether it's black on black crime or black Americans
some of that.
African Americans. It's like it's still it's not changing. Whether it's back.
But you know what you can also look up that white people enslave black people. They constantly.
You said they didn't.
Huh?
What you saying?
That white people enslave black people. They shoot up schools. I mean, but your parents are still telling you that to go marry a white man instead of a black man.
Great point.
Like because that goes into the Bible thing. That's why the white Jesus and all that white Savior complex. That's a whole nother.
So you can't. But
this is why they come over here, because none of the narratives, none of the truths about the dominant society deters them from trying to get with people. They would rather marry a white man than a black American. None of the truths about that deters them at all. They still have this love for this white Jesus thing. This is why white people like them more. And that's the truth.
On that side.
Like, yo, they not violent over there.
We
Like,
could definitely be here all day, but I think we do gotta go. I know y'all gotta go. I wish this conversation was longer. It could have been longer if people, you know. I ain't
got 2 or 3 more questions.
Like,
Yeah,
sure.
come on, bring it on.
We're gonna get this one more in there, and then I'll get out of here. We spoke earlier about I said that the ethnic group of women I see the most that pedestalize their men is Haitian women.
Okay, now we're gonna stop it right there because then he goes to another question. Let me get to some of the super chats. Shout out to FBA Queen again. She says, Africans FBA never give up. We didn't flee. Do your homework. We didn't flee. We're not fleers. That's not in our nature. That's not in our cultures. That's not in our history. Another one. KJX says, if you have one shot, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted, one moment, would you capture it or let it slip? Me personally, if you asking me, I would capture that. If I had the opportunity of a lifetime, I would capture that. Absolutely. I'm saying this and I made this so we can be very clear. We got to, a lot of that stuff, of course, they're going fast and it's at the heat of the moment, so they can't really retort all of this stuff. The narrative, we don't know where we're from. We know where we're from. And don't let anybody tell you that we don't. We know where we're from. We know where our people are from. I know where my grandmother is from. My grandmother, her mother lives in the same country that they built. They can't say that. We've been here as Americans longer than they've been Nigerians. We've been here in America longer than they've been from the nations that they claim. All of them had we had a hard boot reset. They had a soft boot reset. But the only thing is we acknowledge we had a reset. They don't want to acknowledge that they had a reset. Our reset makes us American, makes us the purest American. We are not only by the Americans, by the definition, we are the heart of what America should be. That's why we fight for what America should be. The Constitution, how it should be applied. Not this little racial code that they got going on. We are the heart of that. We are the soul of that. We are that. What it should be, what it should stand for, not them. This is the truth of that situation. This is the truth. So when they come over and they say things like, we don't know where we're from, that's honestly a projection. And the only way to solve a problem is to admit to it, is to tell the honest truth. Do you know where you're from, really? Do you? Prior to the scramble of Africa, do you know where you're from? Really, do you? Most of them don't. What language did you speak before that? What were your people called before that? A lot of them don't. And you can tell. And then there's this very particular disdain for foundational Black Americans. They don't have that when it comes to Jamaica, Haiti, all of these other places in the Caribbean. They don't say that they're lost people. They don't call them Akatas. They call us Akatas. They don't call them Akatas. They don't have this negative disdain. They don't tell their people, hey, make sure you don't marry a Jamaican. Make sure you don't marry a Haitian. Make sure you don't marry a Trinidadian. Make sure you don't marry a Cuban. They don't say that to them. They say that to us. And when we have these conversations, a lot of them be playing dumb, like, well, no, that's just what we see. And you got to understand why we see that. And it's because no, you're wrong. You are just wrong. You're very just wrong. You're very wrong, very incorrect. And it's time for us to have these conversations so we can understand our history and our placement. Because once we understand this is our land, once we understand we are in our nation that our people built, most people can't say that, we can. We are in our nation that our people built and fought and won all this for. All of these battles we won for, all of these wars we won because of our history, because of who we are as fighters. We have lived in the most oppressive system anywhere. There's never been a system that's enslaved people for centuries to the degree that America has. And even the brutality of slavery in America. People will never understand that. I don't understand it. People will never understand how deep and how evil and demonic it was. A lot of that history has been lost. And what we do know is very sick. It's very inhumane. It's very devilish. And we have not lost that fight. We still fight against that. We are the true Americans here. Nobody can tell us anything different. Y'all want to bring up these statistics. Now, when we say something about y'all, then it's a problem. And this is why a lot of people also, we got to say this again, this is why a lot of people have jumped from that Pan-African ship. Okay? Now, me, I'm Black first. That's not Pan-Africanism. I've already made a live discussing the differences. People jumped off that Pan-African ship because when they say things like we don't know where we're from, when they say things like we don't have a culture, when they say things like we need to go back to Africa, you don't see Pan-Africanists correcting them. Pan-Africanists don't correct them. Now, when we say something about them, here comes all of these Pan-Africanists who want to say that we're divisive. Here comes all of these Pan-Africanists who want to say that we're peddling white supremacist talking points. Here comes all of these Pan-Africanists who say that we're insecure about our African heritage. They can disrespect us. Pan-Africanists be all like, I see no evil, hear no evil, I know nothing. When we say something, it's hold on now, you can't do that. That you can't talk that way, brother. We are all African. Oh, no. We're not going to do this one-sided little Pan-African thing that we've always done. We're not going to do that. Where they get to come over, we get to be Akatas. We get to be told, look at them, they baby mamas, they lazy. We up here, y'all down here. It's going to take y'all forever to get up here now. And Pan-Africanists, they don't check the disrespect from the diaspora at all. But then if we say something like, well, I mean, if y'all look in Nigeria, y'all not doing that well. Then here comes Pan-Africanist, brother. You can't say that, brother. It's the system of oppression, brother. Oh, no. No. We're not doing that. We're not going to do that thing where the disrespect can come one way, and if we check it, we wrong. Oh, no. That's not happening no more. We done with that. This is why we're changing as a people. We've learned. Let me show you something again. Let's reiterate this one more time. This is the definition of culture right here. Culture is a societal concept. Oh, hold on. I got to get this off the screen. Culture is a societal concept that encompasses the beliefs, conduct, arts, language, and traditions that is collectively permitted and or practiced by a group of people. And I'm going to tell you guys, culturally, we're divorcing ourselves from Pan-Africanism. Culturally, we're delineating. That's what we're doing. That's what we're accomplishing, which is a good thing. And it's not to say that we don't have any respect or love or we don't care about them. This is what has always needed to happen. Even if we had the best relationship possible, we've always needed to respect our ethnicity. We've always needed to respect our own distinct culture. We've always needed to distinguish ourselves. Even if we were loved and cousins and brothers and sisters, we're different. And we've always needed to respect that. And now we're starting to see the culture evolve and change and start to become more empowered and recognize ourselves as the true Americans that we are, as foundational to this nation. This is why we're using the term FBA, because we are the foundation to this nation. We are. So we're starting to learn from that and we're starting to grow from that. And that's a beautiful thing. And you got a lot of African writers who are on board with that. We had some in the chat room this evening. Shout out to you all. So I'm not trying to paint every single last one of them with a broad brush, but we've had a lot who are in the chat room. They knew what I was going to say. They knew I was going to go off, and they were and they agreed, because they know that we are different from them and they respect that, and we can respect them and we can work with them, and we can, fight against this system with them. We can do that with them. And we do have writers, not just from Africa, from the Caribbean, and we can respect each other, and with mutual respect and camaraderie, we can work together. And then you do have the tethers, and we do got to get on that, because there's more of them and they are more of a problem than what they would like to admit to. So we got to get on that, so we can have respect for ourselves, because nobody's going to respect you more than you respect yourself. If you feel you are lost, then when people tell you you're lost, they're going to believe it. Nobody's going to respect this is your house if you don't claim this is your house. If people walk into your house right now, if you don't have any respect for your house, if you don't feel like this is your house and you make the rules and you are the authority of your house, you can't expect anybody else to. So now we're realizing, hey, this is our house. People have to respect our house and our rules, or they leave. That's the way this works. So culturally, we're starting that evolution. This is a cultural evolution. Let me get to the super chats. You guys have been very gracious with the super chats. Let me get to that. Brother Tell It Like It Is says, a lot of them feel they are better than us, and then they get challenged. They start backpedaling. That's very true. Notice that they were doing that. They were all like, well, I mean, that's just my opinion, but they didn't originally state it as if that was their opinion. He continues to say, then they cling to white man as they made it until the true colors come out. Yeah, they do. They cling to the white man as if they made it until the true. Yeah, that's very true. Very accurate. That's very, very true. That's very, very true. Thank you for that. And they start backpedaling when you tell them the truth. And they get in their groups of people and they start having this echo chamber where they talking about us. And now that social media is a thing, now that we're starting to see it, and now we're starting to address it, which is something we should have been doing years ago. Now we got our sister Stephanie. She says our DNA is wrapped in the soil and the roots of this land. It is. We talk about blood, sweat, and tears. There's no pure definition of blood, sweat, and tears in a nation than what we have here. There is not a single example in human history that shows more blood, sweat, and tears in building a nation than America, than what we have in America. None. Very correct. New Eros says, I have to make that statement. Pan-Africanism was designed to erase our Black American ethnic identity. I believe the ideology was derived from African colonialism. Hold on, let me pull my laptop a little bit closer. American colonization society to get us to leave America. That's a good theory too. Because they tried to convince us. Sometimes the font is very small. I had to pull it up. They've always been trying to tell us, and this is something that our cultural evolution has brought us away from. They've always been trying to tell us we're this lost people of Africa. We are the lost people of Africa, and we really don't belong here. We really belong in Africa. And for the longest time, a lot of our people did buy that. A lot of our people did believe that, yeah, we're not really from America. We don't really belong in America. We really belong in Africa. We don't. We don't. If we want to go to Africa, we can. It's not okay. That's cool. But do we belong there? No, we belong in the land that our people built. This land belongs to nobody else more than it belongs to us. It doesn't. It don't. It belongs to us more than it belongs to anybody else. That includes, like I said, the 5 civilized tribes, the Europeans. It belongs to us more than it belongs to them. And that's just the history of it. I want to say something else too. So since we have still a lot of people in the chat room, we've had a very bumpy road this last couple of months, all summer long. We've had a very bumpy road on this channel. I'm glad we have a lot of people in here. This channel has been stripped from like 20% of the traffic search. That means when people are scrolling through on YouTube on their recommendations, when they just turn the app on and they just kind of looking for stuff to watch, these live streams and videos almost never show up, or it shows up 20% less, and through searches. So when people search certain subjects, our videos show up 20% less. So it's really kicking us completely out of the algorithm. So that means only people who know about the channel are going to see it. We're not going to have any new growth. And that also what that means is that people who know about the channel, they're going to start leaving because the channel is going to be more difficult for them to see. That's what YouTube is a lot about. YouTube is about convenience, and it becomes more difficult for people to find the channel, for people to find the videos and everything. So people are going to start leaving if they're not getting unsubscribed, which a lot of them say they are. So what we're going to do, I'm going to be, I developed a new theory that I'm trying to test out so we can combat this. But what I need from you all is this. Okay, I put this in my community tab. These are the 4 key steps that's going to change things. It says, number 1, leave at least a 3-word comment. A lot of people, you can leave comments. Why it's important to leave a 3-word comment is because if you leave a 1-word comment or a 2-word comment, sometimes the algorithm will say that those are spam accounts or bots. Sometimes it can get labeled as bots. It shouldn't, but it can get labeled as bots. So to prevent that, leave at least a 3-word. Some people, y'all can leave a comment however long you want to, but leave at least a 3-word comment. Number 2, watch the full live stream or the video at least as much as you can. If you guys got to watch something and then you guys got to go back or whatever the case is, that's perfectly fine, because the algorithm calculates watch time. How many hours have people watched it? So if 1,000 people watched it for 30 minutes, that's 30,000 hours or something like that. So they calculate that, and that goes into the recommendations. Another one, this is 3. Like every video / live stream as soon as you can. So that means when I premiere it, if you guys see it before the live stream, you guys hit that like button, because the more likes you have at a faster rate, the video to like rate ratio, that's really going to help. That's really going to help. And then another one is heavy participation in the chat room. There's supposed to be room, is a typo, room, comments and reactions. So you have the reaction button on the side. A lot of people watch on their cell phones, but you also have it on your laptops and tablets too. The reactions, a lot of people start pressing the reaction buttons and laughing and putting hearts and all that stuff. A lot of people do that. That gets calculated too. A lot of people put the comments in there. That gets calculated too. That's why I say every time we reach another 100, everybody got to flood the chat room with 100 emojis, because that counts as chat room participation. And chat room participation gets calculated into the interactions and likability of the video. So that helps the video stay on the algorithm. All right. So that's the reason why I had that whole thing in the first place. So with that, if we keep this up for a good amount of time, we're going to get right on the page we need to get on. This is literally, we're like a month before the presidential election. We need to get as many voices in here. We need to expand the voice as much as we can. We really have to do that. But we can do that as long as enough of us stay firm to stay on the course and just keep up with that program. Do what you can. Those 4 steps, to the best of your ability, those 4 steps, we're going to be good. We're not only going to beat this little shadow ban thing that we're going through, we're also going to have a big boost, and we're going to be way ahead of where we are now. We're going to be right there. So it's a couple of people in the chat room saying that they subscribed. They're just subscribed, and I appreciate that. Let me get to some of the just subscribe. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Just subscribe. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. Also, of course, subscriptions. Of course, that helps. Let me get to some of the other super chats. Kathy sends the super chat. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you. Always supporting. FBA Queen again. OTube is trying to platform digital genocide on FBAs. Exactly. Because they know our influence, our fact checking, our research, our journalism, our activism, all of that stuff is starting to change the status quo. So that's why they play these little games, like they stop me from live streams. They kick me off. Now, everything I do is in fair use. I play the fair use thing all the time. Everything I do is in fair use. I can speed the video up. I can edit it. I can stop it. Still, they've stopped the live stream twice in one day. Stop the live stream. So they do certain things. And let me get to see if we got. Okay. Just checking the Cash App real quick. So they do certain things that you don't see other channels have to go through. But that's okay, because we have a formula. We have a strategy. Everybody, let me show you guys one more time. I don't know why when I put it in here, it like misspelled the word room for whatever reason. But if we stick to this strategy, we're going to be exactly where we need to be. Exactly where we need to be. As long as we stick to this strategy, family. Let me get to the other super chat again from Terry. Terry says the YouTube algorithm are set on anti-black. That's true. But we will get past this here, or our own social network. Yeah, we will. And a lot of people also, I'm glad you bring that up. Thank you for that. A lot of people are like, well, have you considered Rumble? Have you considered another platform? I'm going to be honest. I have considered Rumble, but I'm going to be very clear. If I do make a Rumble account, I'm still going to be on YouTube. I'm not going to just not be on YouTube. If I do have another platform, I would use that other platform, but I would still be on YouTube. It's never like, okay, guys, YouTube is done. Let's go to Rumble. That's never going to happen. Okay. So, but I have considered, making Rumble or another account or Patreon or something like that. I've taken that into consideration because there are a lot of people comment and ask me about that. But I appreciate that. You said you're subscribed. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Now, I appreciate every single last one of you guys for being here. We had a loaded conversation, very beneficial conversation. Thank you all for being this, because these are the conversations that actually solve the problems. So we're all here. I'm here. You're here. Hundreds of us are here. We're all here solving problems. We're not just here for entertainment. We're here solving problems. I'm doing that and you're doing that. So I appreciate every single last one of you guys. Now, with that being said, I want to say Black first to every single last one of you all. And of course, you all have a good one.